Disrupt.
Tuesday morning, Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen. It's going to be a fight, guys. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. I wasn't like yelling because I was angry. I was yelling because that's how you have to run a camp with 50 kids, 6 to 12-year-olds in a gym. And I can already tell you heading into heading into a Tuesday, but let alone tomorrow and Thursday, it's going to be a bit of a challenge with me trying to talk to you two and do a sports talk radio show. Gonna need you two to kind of carry me here because I can already feel it in my chest just having to be loud yesterday. It's going to be a little bit of a contest tomorrow and Thursday if I do the same thing today at the Sexagatha basketball camp here in Lexington for the 6 to 12-year-olds.
So you were yelling? Is that just how it has to go?
Well, I just had to be like yesterday. I had to get them, stretched and get them going and show up and give a little energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you just had to be entertaining and so you've got to use your loud outdoor voice, and I can already feel it a little bit. I can feel it in my not like 3 hours.
You sound like you just sang frontman for a heavy metal concert for 6 hours.
Right.
Yeah, I can. It feels like a workout. It feels like it doesn't hurt. My chest doesn't hurt. And I went to bed nice and early. It was a very early bedtime because football season is upon us. This is it. This is kind of the last few days where you get some decent sleep before a game on Thursday night, and then games all weekend, and Monday night football, and Tuesday and Wednesday night action, and all kinds of stuff. So it was, I was in bed early, but yeah, as I go to speak this morning, I can already feel it. I can tell the excitement from yesterday and getting the kids fired up, Patrick and Jen, getting them ready to go. Oh, it's going to be a bit of a contest this morning.
And so it's going to be work tomorrow. For someone who uses their voice every day, I'm very surprised that this first day, literally the first day of camp, is wiped you out like this.
Yeah, I got to admit, the age thing might be catching up to me a little bit. I was a little surprised.
Well, you've been sick too.
Well, that too. But yeah, no, I was energetic. I mean, it was a good energy. I wasn't like yelling and screaming and telling them to run laps or do push-ups. It was being a very positive guy, just trying to be energetic. So we'll see how it goes. But we got plenty we're going to get into this morning. Brad Crawford will join us from 24/7 Sports. He's got a ranking nationally. We've done this before, Patrick, of a ranking of SEC coaches, but Brad Crawford has put out a list nationally of his top coaches in the country. We'll get into that a little bit. We'll get into a little. I don't. What do you get on Twitter? Big Game Boomer has become something of a weird. They just rank random things, right? You're familiar with this Twitter account?
Yeah.
Big Game Boomer.
They rank things they don't know about.
Right. Now, game day atmospheres in week one, I'll give them a pass on that they kind of know, because look, I can look at some of these and say, oh yeah, all right, that is probably going to be a really good atmosphere. Okay, no, that one's not. Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with college football in that place. But they put one out yesterday that I, once again, did not agree with. At least I gave them a thumbs up for this one, as opposed to the one, was it, Patrick, last week I think I retweeted, or maybe 2 weeks ago, where they tried to list the top 50 hamburger joints in every college town. I was like, there's no way you can do that, right? Like you probably haven't been to 50 college towns, and if you have, I don't know if you specifically go out searching for hamburger joints, right?
No, they haven't, and they've admitted, like, hey, we don't need to. They've admitted things like they got in a beef with a Mississippi State fan, and they were like, I don't need to go to Starkville to tell you that college town sucks. He's like, all right, wow. So you're just objectively ranking things that you have no idea about. They know what they're doing, because rankings get people going, and that's how you get clicks. So they just say things.
Well, they did put out one yesterday that, just from the standpoint of talking football and at least getting interesting, had me kind of paying attention. It was the best atmospheres for opening weekend. And really, what it did was it got me thinking about the South Carolina atmosphere. We'll get into that a little bit this morning because as I put out a tweet yesterday that just kind of started talking about it, the 7:30 kickoff, the new LED lights, it's opening weekend. Spencer Rattler makes his debut. There'll be Sandstorm that everybody loves. You know what? Shane Beamer's typical energy to begin with. And then, we really haven't talked about it, Patrick. And maybe it's just because we've analyzed a lot of other things a little bit leading up to this Georgia State game. But the return of Sean Elliott. Like, I feel like that has kind of gone under the radar, but that's actually kind of a big deal. A guy who was a interim head coach for South Carolina, who grew up a South Carolina fan, who sold sodas in the stadium, who's a Camden native. This is actually a pretty big deal, something that really doesn't happen. Yeah, Brad Scott came back in, what was it, in 2099, I guess, as an assistant for Clemson. That was as an assistant. Will Muschamp will come back as an assistant for Georgia this year. I don't know of the last time that a guy who at least was a head coach for South Carolina, even in the interim capacity, came back as a head coach for somebody else. And that is kind of interesting in itself.
It is. I think that I think he'll get a nice welcome, but is that a draw for people? Like if we were playing Eastern Illinois versus Georgia State, are people coming to the game because they feel like Georgia State is a little bit better of an opponent and it's local and it's Sean Elliott, or is it just so happens like, hey, we're playing Georgia State, I'm going to the game because it's the first game, and it just so happens that Sean Elliott's the head coach of the other team, so this will be a cool little bonus. I mean, is that a draw for people?
Well, I think it's a cool little bonus. It's not the draw. I think, and this is where I was kind of going with it. What is the draw for the opening, for making it a great atmosphere? Is it, hey, we're just back and it's football season? Is it just as simple as that? Hey, it's time to go tailgate with your buddies, with people we hadn't seen in 9 months. All right, let's get fired up. Is it, hey, let's go see Spencer Rattler, this quarterback who now we've talked about since the end of December. It's time. You know what? As stupid as it may sound, Patrick, you know how some people get geeked up over things like this. The new LED lights that they're going to have there in the stadium.
It's going to flash.
Garnet and white, whatever. All
different colors.
They're going to be good.
I'm excited to see that.
And then I do think, as you said, kind of a small bonus. I doubt it would lead any kind of poll question. But as a small bonus,
having a guy that you're familiar with.
Like actually legitimately familiar with, coming back as the head man for the opposition. Look, South Carolina's got a weird, questionable football history in which it took forever for a coach to coach here, and Sparky Woods was the guy, and then actually go be a head football coach anywhere else. Anywhere else. VMI was the name of the school that Sparky Woods would later go on to coach. But that doesn't happen here. And I know that's kind of an odd thing, but that just flat doesn't happen at South Carolina, where the guy who coached here goes on to coach at another school, and you kind of follow him and see what he ends up doing. But that's exactly what's happened. And Sean Elliott, interim head coach, is now going into Georgia State and is having a little bit of success, and actually will be a live underdog that week. It'll be one that South Carolina's got to show up to and be a little bit more prepared than, say, for an Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, Sean Elliott's team will be fired up for sure, and most of them have played with Jordan Strawn as well, so they see it as, hey, look, our best player decided to leave and go to the bigger school, and I assume though they have a good relationship with him still, but I'm sure they'll use that as motivation and be a little bit extra fired up. I don't know how much it will play a factor for the South Carolina side of things. I don't know if Shane Beamer will be in the locker room and be like, hey, look, this guy used to be a head coach here and we need to go kick his butt. And I don't know if South Carolina players will care about that. I think we've had that discussion before. I don't know if that is a point of inspiration for any of these 17 to 22-year-old kids, or I guess 23 or 24-year-old at this point kids who barely know who Sean Elliott is, who barely remember anything from the Steve Spurrier or anything pre-Will Muschamp. at South Carolina. Like, I don't know if that's going to fire them up. Maybe there's some kids from the state of South Carolina that followed the program when they were growing up and remember it. But for most of them, it's going to be a very distant memory.
Well, this is another odd thing about this particular game is that it's not just a former coach that comes to South Carolina. It's a guy who actually is a big part of the turnaround that happened with South Carolina, with Shane Beamer. Like, these two were on the staff together. Now I'm with you on the players. There are no players that will participate in this game. I mean, Patrick, Shane Beamer, I think, left in 2011, if I remember, or maybe 2010. There are no players that were in double digits, I bet, right? Like, most of them were 8, maybe 7, 8. The time that Shane Beamer was coaching at South Carolina. He moved on in 2010. His first season with Virginia Tech was 2011. So real quick, doing the math, 11 years ago, if you were a freshman, you were 7 years old. If you're one of the older guys on the team, I guess you could have been 11 or 12. So you're right.
Sherrod Green was 16.
It's true. Sherrod Green, actually, I think Sherrod Green was on the verge of enrolling, actually, now that you say he and Brad Johnson, I think, were enrolling the same year. But yeah, I don't agree with this. We'll get into this a little bit this morning. Jason weighing in says, I'm with you, Patrick. I don't think people could care less. I don't think people couldn't care less. There's a lot of negatives in there, Jason. I don't think people couldn't care less about Sean Elliott being there. It's about Rattler and Beamer for me. But that I totally understand. Clemson Chad saying Sean's family still lives in Columbia. Correct. Yeah, Sean was actually out at Catfish Johnny's just a few weeks ago. We'll get into that this morning. We'll get into Brad Crawford's rankings. He'll join us this morning at 6:45 to talk about those rankings that he put out of national college coaches. And Patrick, there's one that I want to get your opinion about. Not sure I necessarily agree with it. It's a top 3 coach on his rankings list. So I'll ask you about that. Kyle Thompson comes up later this morning at 8 o'clock. We'll talk PGA Tour and Live Golf, but we'll also get his opinion on South Carolina as they get ready to open camp, and also on G.G. Jackson as Kyle Thompson pays close attention to South Carolina athletics. So a lot to get to this morning. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. As you can hear my voice, we may need a little bit of help this morning. Want to help get us through the program, so we'll certainly do that. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, and Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up on the next Extra Point. Hey guys, Pearson Fowler here from the Extra Point, and coming up on the Monday edition of the Extra Point, it is football season. It's now every week from here on out until the end of the year is going to have some kind of football. South Carolina practice Friday, Hall of Fame game. Who cares? It's football season, and as part of our festivities, really happy to be announcing officially the start of the Gamecock Central Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Wes Mitchell will be with me for the entire 11 o'clock hour, talking football, recruiting, a whole lot more, all coming up on the Extra Point. The Extra Point with Pearson Preston and Gamecock Central. 9 a.m. to noon on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
No major tie-ups to speak of right now on the interstates, so we'll take that to start your day. In your forecast so far today, we're looking for hot and humid conditions, really humid today. Straight afternoon shower or thunderstorm, a high of 97. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, hot and humid, and scattered storms, high of 95. Heat index about 103 today and tomorrow. Right now, though, 76. 107.5 The Game.
This is Zach Gelb with the CBS Sportsman. It's sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. History has showed us that most of Bill Belichick's assistants turn out to be problematic as NFL head coaches, and Josh McDaniels already knows that all too well. Yes, McDaniels is now coaching a loaded AFC West, but he's taking over a Raiders squad that made the playoffs last year and got even better this offseason. I say his team makes the playoffs during his debut season, and Josh will play a big role in that. I'm Zach Gelb. CBS Sports Radio. Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $35.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply. 5X480. Take B100 Vivo. One of the many parts Ranger carries. It's also the item that helped Rob carry the day. The job will come home. The deadline fast approaching. But a quick search on Ranger.com, Rob found his part. And with same-day pickup at his local branch, he and his crew got the job done. Safely and on time. Get surprising solutions for every industry with real-time product availability. Call, click Ranger.com, or just stop by. Ranger. For the ones who get it done.
Sponsored by KFC. KFC's $5 mac and cheese bowls. For a limited time, get a big bowl of creamy mac and cheese topped with crispy chicken and sprinkled with even more melty cheese for just $5. Available in classic or spicy. Order now on the KFC app or KFC.com. That's finger licking good.
Call on the Elite Lawn and Landscape.
When looking for a professional in the industry, Elite will provide you with quality work at a fair price. Mowing, edging, weed eating, and blowing. Elite Lawn and Landscape has the team to deliver outstanding results. Visit EliteLawn.us to request a free estimate.
Call on the Elite Lawn and Landscape. The landscape professionals.
It's the Love Chevrolet countdown to Gamecock football.
32 days till kickoff.
Others take full advantage of the market. We remain true to who we are. We never charge above MSRP or take advantage of you with add-ons. Love Chevy. I-26 at Harbison. That's lovechevy.com.
Find new roads.
Due to upcoming government regulations, the current minimum SEER rating for HVAC systems will change. It's time for you to call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500. Current inventory cannot be sold after December 31st, and as the year 2023 starts, customers can expect to pay an average of 30% more for a new SEER 2 HVAC system. What does this mean for you, the customer? There is no better time to purchase a new HVAC system, and AAA Heating and Air must empty their warehouse to make room for the new systems. No deals will be turned down. With our 15-year warranty and guaranteed financing, AAA Heating and Air have made it possible for anyone to get a new system. Call them today, 803-677-1500. You can enjoy new home comfort as quickly as tomorrow. 803-677-1500. Tell them you heard it here with Joe Gunner. Hold us and 5 the game.
If you're thinking about retiring soon, be sure to tune in to Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby of Preservation Specialists. Join Pat as he talks about the latest trends and headlines that could impact your retirement. Don't go into retirement unprepared. Listen each Sunday morning at 10 to Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby of Preservation Specialists. Firm offers insurance services.
Hopefully that helps. I think we had all 4 microphones going, so maybe that created the distortion. Hopefully that helps. Well, we will see. Good morning, everybody, though.
Early game.
105 a game.
Three 404-6100. How you can weigh in this morning, and which several of you are doing on our text line. York, and this is true, Patrick, Jordan Strong, the Georgia State transfer, he says he may be motivated. I would imagine Jordan Strong will have a little bit of extra motivation. It'll certainly be interesting. He's a guy this year, Patrick, that again, you know, we talk about Jordan Birch stepping up and living up to the 5-star ranking. Jordan Strong, Patrick, was a guy that came over as the nation's leading sack getter from Georgia State. Obviously, last year was a transition. He's another guy this year that really needs to step up if that defensive line is going to take the next step forward in being a force in terms of SEC games.
Yeah, and as far as, the message that York sent, I mean, I think he'll be motivated. Although it's not like Georgia State did anything to him. He just bailed on them for a better program. Like that's what he did. He saw an opportunity. He was the nation's sack leader and saw an opportunity. I can go play big time Power 5 SEC football. I'm going to get out of here. So I think, I think in a way, Georgia State's team, his former teammates will be motivated to say, oh, that guy thought he was too good for Georgia State. We're going to go prove something different. It's only so much they can really do, but I do think he'll be motivated, and he does need to have a big year. I mean, last year, again, there were very few games where you felt like, oh, Jordan Strong, he had a really big game. But when you look at the advanced analytics people, again, PFF, very high on how Jordan Strong played last year. Like, there were points where they had him as, one of the top 10 most effective pass rushers in college football. So I think they believe that when he was in one-on-one situations, he was beating his man very consistently, and whether that was resulting in sacks or not, most of the time it was not, he was still consistently beating his man. So at a certain point, maybe that pays off, and maybe this is the year that it sort of comes together. And if he's beating his man so consistently and he's getting help on the other side and he's getting a little bit of a push inside and the secondary is holding up a little bit longer and he has more time to rush, then maybe this does become a really big year for him, because I know that there are expectations of him having not a breakout season because he's led the nation in sacks before, but the type of season where you say, okay, that was a, top 50 draft pick type of season, and he's going to go. His expectation certainly is to be in the draft next year, and I don't know if it's double digit sacks. I mean, that's asking a lot. That's what he did at Georgia State, but 6, 8 sacks and just kind of feeling like you were wreaking havoc from time to time. I feel like we need to look at certain games and be like, man, I saw Jordan Strong in the backfield a lot last week.
He is 6'5", 245, Patrick. That projects more as a stand-up edge rusher. He's listed as an edge. But in college, that's as you can put your hand down on the ground. Professionally, when you get to the NFL, he needs to be more of a stand-up, kind of almost a 3-4 linebacker, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see some undersized edge rushers be effective from time to time, but there's like a 99% chance that when he goes pro, he's going to be playing in a 3-4. He's going to be standing up, and he's going to be playing that outside backer rush position. So most likely, maybe he could bulk up. I don't know how much weight he can afford to carry at this point, but I would say far more likely than not that he's playing in a 3-4 as an edge rusher.
I also go back and say for him, and I guess this is a weird way of looking at it, and tell me if you think I'm kind of wrong on this or if I'm crazy. I don't know if the numbers matter as much as when it's third and say 6 or 7 or 8, you have to, it's almost like an announcer has to say, okay, this is a point where Jordan Strong or even Jordan Burch for that matter, and this is how I'm going to look at both of them, because on our live stream, you can go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, search and click and subscribe and be a part of the live stream where Craig weighs in and says over under 15 sacks for Burch and Strong. I would go under, Patrick. But where I think you've got to have this is when you get into those 3rd and 6, 7, 8, 9 situations are obviously longer, the announcer needs to say, okay, this is where Jordan Strong has been able to apply pressure. Jordan Burch has been able to apply pressure. If the announcer's coming on going, all right, South Carolina needs to blitz here to try and create something, I feel like those guys are not getting the job done. Certainly blitzing is something Clayton White liked to do last year and was very good at it. But this is a situation where at times you need to be able to rush just your front four. Maybe they don't get home to the quarterback. Maybe they force him out of the pocket, and maybe one of the Zach Pickens or one of the interior guys cleans it up. So maybe it's not always about the numbers, but I think it's about Burch and Strong being guys that the quarterback has to be aware of, and that even the announcers are going, yeah, these guys have been able to force pressure on quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, I'd go way under the 15. I'd say it'll probably be closer to 10. But one of the most important things for defense is always being able to generate pressure without having to scheme it up. And if South Carolina's having to send blitzers just for the sake of getting to the quarterback, that's going to be a problem, especially when you got a lot of new pieces in the secondary as well. You want to keep them healthy or keep them free and not have to hold up and one-on-one, or say if you get beat over the top, we're done because you're not going to have any help because our safety help is blitzing. Like, those things can be problematic. So if Jordan Strawn and Jordan Burch and Zach Pickens and Boogie Huntley or whoever it is, they're going to need to be able to apply pressure by themselves. So it is kind of a make or break year for Jordan Burch in a way. I mean, he can come back next year, but he's not planning on it. When you're a top 10 recruit, you want to get out in 3 years and you want to go to the NFL. And if he wants to do that, he's got to have a breakout season. And I'm sure a lot of people have their eyes on him as a breakout candidate this year. Jordan Strawn has sort of already proven himself at this level, sort of. But now the sacks and the numbers need to come with it. So again, they do for sure need to be able to generate pressure by themselves. I think Zach Pickens is going to have a big year, but those edge guys, you can't get it done without your edge rushers being effective.
803-404-6100. How you can be a part of the program coming up here in about 15 minutes. We'll catch up with Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports to get this list, to get him to talk about this list of rankings. Number one on the list, Patrick, is as you would expect, it's Nick Saban. Number two on the list is kind of as you would expect, Kirby Smart. Number three, again, one bad season or one season in which they're not in the playoff doesn't remove Dabo Swinney, so he's number three. Number four, I'll give to you when we come back, and I'm starting to believe number four, who just took a new job, is wildly overrated. I'll give you that name and I'll explain why I think the number four coach on Brad Crawford's list is wildly overrated when we come back. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game.
The year was 2007.
The Colts won the Super Bowl.
They're all here to see the Colts of Indianapolis win Super Bowl 41.
The Red Sox captured the World Series.
Game over, series over, and the Red Sox are world champs again.
And on November 12th, 2007, 107.5 The Game went on the air.
We're going to thank everybody involved with this. Brent Johnson, who's been magnificent. Our GM, Bill McElveen, who we could not ask for more of. Engineer Ed Noyes, who has worked his tail off to get all of this done. We are so excited to be a part of the Columbian sports community.
And now we're going to celebrate our 15th anniversary with you, because without you, there is no us. Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner. Your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Going out and purchasing a new vehicle, it should be a great experience. It should be a lot of fun, especially this time of year, because maybe that vehicle is going to be the one taking the kids back to school. And you know how the kids like to look great when you pull up to drop them off at 7:30 in the morning, or when you're pulling up at 2:30 or 3 to pick them up in the afternoon. They want to be getting into a nice vehicle, and they're going to hold you accountable to that. So if you're going to purchase a vehicle, go visit Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison, between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. Not only do they have the $1,000 low price guarantee, which means you can shop other dealerships and take their deal back to the folks at Love Chevrolet, and they'll top it, or they'll write you a check for $1,000. They also have like 14 acres of brand new Chevrolets, the largest selection of anywhere in the Midlands, meaning you're going to find the car, the truck, the SUV, the interior, the exterior, everything that you've been wanting in that brand new car. Love Chevrolet has got on that 14 acres of brand new Chevrolets. But the most important reason is the way you're treated. In this day and age, customer service means everything when you go to make a big purchase. And that sales staff, many of them that have been around with Love Chevrolet for over 20 years, is the absolute best when it comes to answering your questions, making sure you're comfortable with that purchase, and even working with you to make sure you get the best rate possible on that brand new vehicle. That's what makes Love Chevrolet stand out to me, is how they treat you from the second you come on the lot to the second you drive off. I-26 in Harbison, between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. You can visit them on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
And taking a look at the traffic conditions out there this morning, we do have a report of a disabled vehicle. Could be slowing things down just a little. I-20 eastbound before Fairfield Road. Aside from that, things moving along fairly well this morning, and we're looking for a high today 97, the heat index of 103. It's going to be hot and humid with a stray afternoon shower or storm. Going to see that tomorrow and really Thursday as well. Heat index today and tomorrow about 103. Right now, 76 at 107.5 the game.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, I go to work getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
Hey, y'all, Jay Phillips here from my good friends at Dan's Fan City in Harbison. Ceiling fans don't sound like something you think about a lot because you don't really need to, but when you've got good ones, they work so well, keeping energy costs down and your comfort level up. All kinds of fans at Dan's Fan.
That's a good question, Craig. I would love for him. I mean, the question is, do you think that that's one guy getting close to 10 and the other guy getting 5, or whether you think it's both of them right there around 7.5? Patrick, I'm not sure Jordan Burch is the kind of defensive end that's a sack getter, if that makes sense. I think he's a guy who's going to get a few, but more of a run stopper and maybe pushes the quarterback into other players.
7.5 feels like sort of the high end for each of them.
I could see Strong. Strong just strikes me as that different. I mean, you're talking about, I think Burch is close to 280, 290, whereas Strong strikes me as more of the wiry kind of edge guy who's a little bit faster and maybe he's able to track down the quarterback a few times.
Burch is listed at 275.
Yeah. Big kid. Yeah, Jen, I think I was trying to compensate for not having power in my chest. I was probably yelling too much. Not really sick anymore. It's just I did a basketball camp yesterday and I just had to be loud, and I'm not ready for that, clearly. Yeah, that's what I think. Strong is more a rangy guy who can run him down.
.35 here on a Tuesday morning, August the 2nd. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen coming up in about 10 minutes. We'll catch up with Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports. He's got a list out on the top 20 coaches entering 2022, Patrick. Top 20 coaches entering 2022. Again, Nick Saban's number 1, Kirby Smart's number 2, Dabo Swinney's number 3. Initially, as we start to get close to college football season, I'll look at stuff like this and I'll really start to think and analyze and say, I agree or I don't agree. I'm not sure where I hold Lincoln Riley on the list of coaches, and he's number 4 for Brad Crawford. Patrick, is it fair for me to think that Lincoln Riley, who took over a really good program from Bob Stoops, and he did keep it rolling, and there's something to be said for that, but the program that he took over, he hadn't really elevated all that much. He really hasn't. 12-2 Oklahoma. I'm just, the more I think about it, I think Lincoln Riley has a lot to prove to me going out to Southern Cal. And Patrick, with that in mind, I would have him behind other guys on the list, such as a Brian Kelly. I would maybe have him behind a Kyle Whittingham. who I think has done really good. I'd probably have him behind a Mike Gundy, who I think has done a better job at a much more difficult place. I'd probably have him behind a Mark Stoops. Are you with me on that, or are you thinking I'm crazy?
No, I'm not with you, because the thing, like, the lowest you could drop him on this list as I look at it is probably 7. I mean, there's just, after that, it's, so the list is Saban, Smart, Sweeney, Riley, Jimbo, Ryan Day, Brian Kelly. After that, it's Luke Fickell, Kyle Whittingham, Jim Harbaugh. These guys have all done good jobs, but, you know, I mean, maybe Luke Fickell, just because it's Cincinnati and he's taken them to a college football playoff as a group of 5 team, you can make that case. But I mean, Kyle Whittingham has a very consistent winning program at Utah, but it's not like he's taking the playoff year in and year out. Maybe the narrative could change this year, because I think Utah is really good. But when you've taken teams to multiple playoffs, 3 playoffs, I think, there has to be some credit given for that. Brian Kelly has taken Notre Dame to multiple playoffs, and you can debate whether or not that's more impressive than Lincoln Riley taking Oklahoma. I don't really know the answer to that. I mean, Notre Dame is a national brand and is always going to recruit very well, and their schedule will always be favorable for them, not because it's easy, but because they don't have to play a conference championship game. It will be favorable for them getting into the college football playoff. So when you compare the program they took over, I mean, it's not comparable. Lincoln Riley took over a machine and Brian Kelly had to rebuild Notre Dame, but I can see that case. Ryan Day is exactly the same situation as Lincoln Riley. So I mean, that just take your pick. I don't know. I don't know what Ryan Day would have done to indicate that he's better than Lincoln Riley at this point.
Nothing. No, Ryan Day and Lincoln Riley are in the same exact boat there. The only difference is that, you know, with Lincoln Riley going to Southern Cal, everybody, I think naturally, even this year, even with the addition of Caleb Williams, there's a lot of people who look at it and say, "Oh, Southern Cal probably going to be in the playoff discussion," or, you know, they'll be in the playoff discussion in the next 2 years. In terms of how good Southern Cal is versus A, the rest of the nation, and B, just the pack, like they may very well be head and shoulders above Oregon and Stanford and UCLA and Arizona State and Utah very quickly. That doesn't necessarily put them up there. We've seen that at times from Ohio State, who's been blown out in a few college football playoffs. Oklahoma got popped, obviously, the last time they were in it by LSU, 63-28. Doesn't necessarily mean you're still on par with the rest of the country. Patrick, that to me is where it's interesting. I'm okay with the top 3. I'm not real sure I'm crazy about Jimbo Fisher at 5. I'm a huge Brian Kelly fan. I think he's going to do big things at LSU. I would have Brian Kelly at 4. And then I'd probably, again, have Kyle Whittingham, who's been just a model of success out there, of consistent success at Utah, maybe a little bit higher. And you're right. I would have Lincoln Riley and Ryan Day push down this list a little bit further, because I think there's a lot that those two still have to prove. The only reason I bring up Lincoln Riley this morning is because he made that move to Southern Cal, and now the expectations are so big all of a sudden at Southern Cal, whereas it feels like they've dropped off significantly for Oklahoma. You with me there? Do I make a little bit more sense?
Yeah, no, I understand it, and I mean, I don't expect much from Southern Cal this year. I think they're not going to be good on the line of scrimmage. That's just the way it's going to be. They've revamped everything except for the defense and the lines and the offensive line. I mean, they don't run people over, and I don't know what it is, and that's been a problem on the West Coast. These West Coast teams just have not had a dominant offensive lines. Oregon's put together a couple good groups, but overall, all of the good line play is somehow evading the state of California, and I don't know what it is. I don't know why that's the case. Something about the weather or the lifestyle or whatever it is there is just not conducive to building good offensive line recruits. And that's just kind of where we're at with them. So I don't expect much from them. Jimbo, it does feel like there's only 5 coaches that have won a national championship. So at some point, he's got to be within the top 10, whether you think of him that way or not. I mean, I don't necessarily look at Jimbo and say, yeah, that is one of the best coaches in the nation right there. But the results do indicate that he is. I mean, it's maybe been underwhelming at A&M, but you just can't discount that national championship. And Maybe Mac Brown should be higher than 20. I don't know. But he, again, one of 5 coaches that have won a national championship. It's a very rarefied air at this point in college football.
Well, think about this. We'll talk a little bit more about it with Brad Crawford coming up next with 24/7 Sports. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The Halftime Show with Jay, Terry, and Tommy.
Noon to 3.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
We do have a report of an accident in Gilbert, Juniper Springs Road at Pond Branch Road. Aside from that, things moving along okay this morning. Mostly sunny, hot and humid. Stray afternoon shower or storm. High of 97. Heat index of 103. It is 76 right now at 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Allstate. Are you a safe driver? Are you looking to save money? With DriveWise from Allstate, the safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Hey, it's Terry Ford from 107.5 The Game. Just want to yap with you a minute about real estate. Okay, if you're dealing in the real estate market, either buying or selling, it's the biggest transaction for a lot of folks that you'll ever make, right? So if you're going to be dealing with the biggest transaction you're ever going to make in your life, you need somebody you can trust and depend on. Because trust and dependability are kind of important when you're dealing with this kind of money. Call my guy, Kevin Johnson, Jeff Cook Real Estate. 2 key values of the Johnson team: communication, availability. Don't believe me? Write down this number real quick. 803-770-5496. That's 803-770-5496. You call it, guess what happens?
I am not a model of health right now. I'm sneezing, I'm coughing, but I feel fine. I really do feel fine. I just we'll have to back it down at the camp a little bit today. But had to sneeze twice in that segment. Coughing a little bit. Just congested, but boy, I'll get some coffee in me and get moving around.
You watching anything during the show?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I do have the Alabama spring game on. There wasn't anything on television.
Yeah.
Might need to go blow my nose again. Yeah, I feel go run a mile right now, or maybe a couple steps.
I say, please, can I watch that?
Yeah, I guess I don't need to get too carried away, but yeah, isn't a thing where I feel bad. I just, like I said, I was trying to get my voice up there in that opening segment, so I might have been distorting everything on my own just by trying to have some energy and project. I got a good Tiger Woods question for you in the next hour too.
6:46 on your Tuesday morning. It is the second day of August. We will have college football this season. Coaches will get to prove themselves. And yesterday, because we love doing stuff like this during college football season, Brad Crawford putting out his ranking of the top 20 coaches heading into the 2022 season. Joining us now to defend those rankings, because as I was just saying in the previous segment, I think, and Patrick, I'll ask you this real quick before we go to Brad. Number 4 is Lincoln Riley. Number 6 is Ryan Day. If you were starting a football program today, which coach are you going with, Lincoln Riley or Ryan Day? Who would you take?
Lincoln Riley, just because I feel like he has more buzz. I feel like that name means something more than Ryan Day's does.
All right. 24/7 Sports, Brad Crawford joining us back from Universal Studios down in Orlando, where got to get more details about that because I'm not familiar with Universal. But good to hear from you this morning, Brad. Football season upon us. Happy football season.
Yeah, thanks for having me, fellas. And this top 20 coaches thing is something that I put out every August when fall camp starts. And to be honest with you, that 4 through 6 this year really was my major hang-up. You know, Lincoln Riley, Jimbo Fisher, Ryan Day. Jimbo Fisher is one of the only 5 coaches with a national championship ring to his credit right now, but I think Lincoln Riley and Ryan Day might be trending in an even better direction than Jimbo. So that was very tough deciding, you know, who's in that 4th spot behind Nick, Kirby, and Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, and this top second is tough because when you look at, again, Lincoln Riley and Ryan Day on their records is basically just taking over 2 programs that were ready-made and already loaded. Yeah. And how do you kind of compare that with sort of what Brian Kelly did at Notre Dame, which is a power, but wasn't in the best of places when he took over?
Yeah, I think Lincoln Riley, Ryan Day, and Brian Kelly, they're probably 1, 2, 3 in my opinion as far as, you know, coaches in line for that first national championship. We saw Kirby Smart do so last season, you know, finally getting over the hump and beating Nick Saban in that final game. And you look at Riley, Day, and Kelly, I mean, those 3 are going to have rosters, not just this season, but for the next 3 to 5 years that are going to be, you know, head and shoulders better than these other coaches who don't have a title yet and held in that same regard, like a Luke Fickell, for instance, or maybe a Mike Gundy. But I just think what separates those 3, and getting back to your Brian Kelly question, you know, there's a reason that you leave a top 5 job like Notre Dame for maybe a top 3 job for LSU. And Brian Kelly believes, and he said this at media days, that, you know, he can recruit a different caliber of athlete in Baton Rouge. And he told us at CBS Sports privately that, you know, recruiting at Notre Dame, he was sort of the finisher. You know, he would come in the last few weeks and, you know, close the deals on these 4- and 5-star guys he would sign. At LSU, recruiting is, you know, he's talking to these guys daily. So I think he's already working harder to bring guys into Baton Rouge. And obviously he has shown at Notre Dame he can get to the playoff, but when he faces those, you know, top tier teams like Clemson and Bama, he just couldn't beat them.
He's Brad Crawford joining us from 24/7 Sports. He's got a list out that you can go to both his Twitter at bcrawford247. You can also go to at 24/7 Sports and see top 20 coaches in college football that we're talking about this morning. Going down this list, Patrick and I brought a guy up that's number 12 on your list, and I think he is the hot name. If Baylor, Brad and Patrick, if Baylor has another big year, I don't know if Auburn opens up. I don't know. You never know the crazy world of college football. Dave Aranda, to me, though, is the guy. I watched him at Big 12 Media Day. Oh, boy, he is not fun to listen to. But this is a guy that seems like he can coach and is keeping Baylor going in the right direction. I like Dave Aranda is the next big thing in college football. You guys' thoughts on Brad? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think so as well, man. You know, not only is he a defensive guru, but you know, we saw what happened to LSU on that side of the ball when he left Ed Orgeron's staff and, you know, took that Baylor job. And look, this wasn't a bottom tier ring job that, you know, Baylor had when he inherited it. You know, I think it was Art Briles was a guy who had Baylor as a consistent top 15, 20 team during his tenure before it ended. But, you know, he didn't get to that Big 12 championship New Year's Six type scenario that Dave Aranda got in essentially 2 years. You know, he's a master developer of talent, sort of like Matt Campbell at Iowa State. Both those guys, they aren't landed the 4- and 5-star tier guys, but they sure have a start in 22 that plays like it. And I think a lot of programs nationally who were in the middle of coaching searches last year, they reached out to Dave Aranda's agent and just kind of got a feel on, would Dave be willing to come? We heard that, he was sort of in the mix at LSU before Brian Kelly, along with Mark Stoops, a coach at Kentucky that I have at number 13. But inside that top 15, I'm with you guys. I think Dave Aranda, Mark Stoops, and then Luke Fickell at number 8. Those are 3 rising stars in this industry.
So you just mentioned Luke Fickell at 8, and then you've got Mario Cristobal at 16. Someone that's not on the list, though, is another first-year coach in Marcus Freeman. How would you compare what Freeman has done and the buzz he's built around Notre Dame with what Cristobal has been able to do in this offseason? And then with Fickell being 8, does that mean that you think that Notre Dame would have been better served hiring Luke Fickell than promoting Marcus Freeman?
Well, I think Luke Fickell is going to get a top 5 job before it's all said and done. I think Ohio State is going to be the future job for Luke Fickell if Ryan Day, takes one of these NFL jobs like he's been connected to. We've heard the same from Lincoln Riley too, but now that he's on a long-term deal out in LA, I think Riley's going to be at USC for, the foreseeable future. But, Fickell's a guy that last season had 9 NFL draft picks, and I think 8 of those players were, rated 3 stars or lower here at 24/7 Sports. So, you look at what these coaches who can get the most out of, what they have on their roster. Those are the kind of guys that once they inherit top 5 jobs can really win big because they're getting a different caliber of athlete. And Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame's doing a heck of a job right now on the recruiting trail. I think Notre Dame for this next 2023 class is ranked 1 or 2 in the country right now, but they're going to lose one of their top commits likely to Alabama here in the next couple of days. But Marcus Freeman's a guy who's an ace recruiter, and that's the reason I think that he got that job at Notre Dame. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Notre Dame brass reached out to Fickell and just kind of gauged his interest. And Fickell's made it pretty obvious now that Cincinnati has joined the Power 5 conference that he really likes the Bearcats, and unless that dream job opens up in maybe Columbus, he's going to be there.
One name that's interesting on your list that I think is falling. I feel like a year ago you would have had Matt Campbell up above a Jim Harbaugh or Kyle Whittingham, maybe even a Luke Fickell, but how things have changed in a year. Matt Campbell now at 15. Is his stock dropped significantly for you or for maybe another big-time job? It seems like he's passed up a couple. Matt Campbell's still top 20 coach. We don't argue that, but it feels like Iowa State is shifting back into irrelevance. Where do you see them? Where do you see him and where do you see them this year?
Yeah, I have to agree, man. Matt Campbell and Matt Brown are 2 coaches inside my top 20 that might not be there next year. Should both of those teams, finish 6-6 or even miss bowl eligibility. Matt Campbell's a guy 2 years ago. Look, he had 22 guys back. I think 18 were seniors, and that team was supposed to, not only compete for a Big 12 championship, but they were one of the preseason front runners, and just did not get there. I think Iowa State finished 9-3 despite having a senior quarterback, a top early round running back, two really good tight ends. Just couldn't get it done. But look, Campbell has beaten more ranked teams than he probably should at a job like Iowa State, and he's turned that into a decent job. But like you said, he's certainly trending down compared to maybe where he was at 2 years ago.
Brad, always enjoyable talking to you, my man. We will have to catch up in the next few weeks, get a few tips on Universal, and get into some more college football. Appreciate you taking time to join us this morning.
Yeah, thanks a lot, fellas.
Always glad. Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports. You can check out him on Twitter at bcrawford247. You can also, again, follow some of the stuff he puts out on 24/7 Sports. We'll come back. Austin Riley, as Josh points out on our live stream, he's a paid dude. Tiger Woods apparently is so paid he doesn't need $800 million. We'll get Patrick's take on that and plenty more. Hour number 2 on the way. You're listening to Bill Gunn and Patrick Fred Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Get Gamecocks, Braves, the NFL
with live local radio.
107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
A Cumulus media station.
Inflation sucks. We're all feeling it, which is why at Ruby Tuesday, we want to do something about it. Introducing our daily specials menu, a whole list of deals that don't suck. There's a deal every day to help you get more for your money. On Tuesdays at lunch, try a thick and juicy burger with fries for $5.99. On Wednesday nights, a half rack of fall-off-the-bone ribs is just $11.99. So come to your happy place, Ruby Tuesday, and start stretching your dollars now. See the deals at rubytuesday.com/daily specials.
It's the Love Chevrolet countdown to Gamecock football.
32 days till kickoff.
Others take full advantage of the market. We remain true to who we are. We never charge above MSRP or take advantage of you with add-ons. Love Chevy, I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com.
Find new roads.
If you're dealing with injuries or pain, count on the experts at Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine to get you moving again. Our highly specialized physicians offer comprehensive care for patients at 5 convenient locations throughout the Midlands. Whether you're an athlete looking to return to your sport after injury or someone who needs help for knee, hip, elbow, shoulder, or foot pain, we're here for you. Our expert team can get you better sooner. Visit lexmed.com/ortho to learn more.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
By now, you've heard the news. Used cars are fetching historic values. Used vehicles are in short supply and demand is through the roof. So Galliana Kia on Greystone will take any trade in any condition, even if it's not paid off. And unlike other dealers, Galliana Kia is selling new Kias below MSRP. Like a 2023 Kia Forte LX, just $18,990. All new 2023 Kia Sportage LX, lease for just $259 per month. Upside down in your trade, that's okay. Galliana Kia can help you too. Want to get out of your old car and get a great deal on a new Kia? Gotta go to Galliana. New Kias in stock and below MSRP. Only at Galliana Kia on Greystone. I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Forte stock number 3K3004. Sportage stock number 3K3037. 36-month lease, $39.99 to its signing. Plus tax tag includes $225 closing fee. No security deposit. Negative trade equity finance to new loan. Subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
Connor spent 5 years in foster care.
Before I was adopted, I felt nervous that I wouldn't have a family.
But with help from the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption, Connor now has the love and support of a forever family.
After I was adopted, it was amazing. I felt happy.
You can help find permanent homes for children still lingering in foster care. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Yep.
I had to go write a check for the HOA. So yeah, you get commercials mainly because you can't follow me around the house while I have to pay out to the freaking HOA.
When's it due?
Are HOAs the most annoying thing? Jen, you've got an HOA there in your neighborhood. Patrick, I don't know if y'all have one.
Yeah. Yep, it just depends who's in charge. Sometimes there's little control freaks that get in there. And then you get some residents who are complete jerks to those of you who are trying to actually do the right thing. We won't get into that right now. We're in the intro.
If you're writing a check for the HOA at 7:01 a.m., you can see how fun that is.
When's it due?
That's a great question. There was a debate about that yesterday.
Oh, okay. All right. You guys are up.
7:01 on a Tuesday morning, August the 2nd. Looking at the SEC network here in front of you, Patrick. They were just flashing up the start of fall camp for several of the schools. Tennessee is underway. They were kind of getting going yesterday, and Wes Rucker, who will join us at some point this month to talk about what's going on at Tennessee. Tennessee, we talk about these coaches. I think there's so many things that are just interesting this year, Patrick. If you want to get into kind of what we were just talking about, Lincoln Riley and Ryan Day, two coaches that they're highly thought of, but do they need to do more? I think I'll just start with that real quick. To earn or to continue to be in that lofty discussion of top 6 coaches, because you're right, Ryan Day is a guy that is getting a lot of credit, but he needs to do more, correct?
He needs to win a championship. Yeah. Ohio State's ready. Lincoln Riley, it's a little different, I think. If he gets Southern Cal to the playoff in quick order, I think that shows something, because we can play the game of, hey, look, Lincoln Riley, Bob Stoops would have done the same thing. You just took over a great program, great players that had played for national championships. What you did wasn't all that impressive. If you take a second program, that sort of changes the narrative. And it's a program that obviously is a blue blood. It's been a power recently, but people have struggled there. Good coaches have struggled there, and something about it, no one's been able to really figure out how to get it back to the Pete Carroll era. And if Lincoln Riley does that, even if he doesn't win a championship right away, if they're playing for the playoffs in like the next 2 to 3 years, I think they'll go a long way.
I'm with you on that. Southern Cal, now again, I don't know how much, including a guy like Caleb Williams right off the bat, obviously Jordan Addison coming over, the Biletnikoff Award winner from Pittsburgh. You look at Southern Cal's schedule, Patrick, for this coming season, and usually they play one marquee game. We've seen them play, Alabama in the past, and usually they get at least one marquee game that they'll play this year. I think, I think they played Texas a couple of years ago. I don't, off the top of my head, necessarily remember just exactly what the last couple of marquee games are. But this year, you look at their schedule, and it's not really all that daunting. Rice will be the debut of, it's Rice and the Coliseum will be the debut of Lincoln Riley at 6 o'clock on September 3rd. Then at Stanford, Fresno State, at Oregon State, Arizona State in Los Angeles on October 1st, Washington State. The difficult game is at Utah, Saturday, October 15th, when Southern Cal goes to Utah. Then it's at Arizona, Cal, Colorado, at UCLA, and then they'll finish the season with their rivalry game Saturday, November 26th against Notre Dame. Patrick, I know you mentioned the lines of scrimmage for Southern Cal. No worse than 9-3, and 10-2 seems very, very obtainable. You with me on that?
I think so. I mean, I just find it hard to believe they're not going to falter somewhere, and they're not going to be perfect. I do think we're assuming a lot of Caleb Williams' play this year, right? Like, he was pretty good last year. He flashed, but was he outstanding? Like, did he show us that he's one of the 5 best quarterbacks in college football?
No, I don't think so. I don't know if there's a reason to think. I think Caleb Williams has a lot of upside. I think it helps him following his coach to Southern Cal, where he can stay in that system and stay in the terminology. If he was at Oklahoma, nothing again. I'm not saying Brent Venables is a bad coach or anything like that. I'm Jeff Levy. This is not a knock on those guys. I'm just having to make that transition. I think we would think less of him because he's staying with Lincoln Riley. And that's kind of Lincoln Riley's claim to fame right now, right? Is being the quarterback guru. When you saw what he did with Baker Mayfield, with Jalen Hurts, walk me through that. What was it again? Was
Baker,
it
Kyler, Jalen Hurts?
Okay, Kyler before Jalen Hurts. So yeah, all right. So that's his claim to fame right now, though, is quarterbacks, right? Even then, having Spencer Rattler, who was really good, his freshman season, I guess, or sophomore season, whatever year it was. Now that I get confused, obviously got benched last year, and then Caleb Williams coming in. Lincoln Riley is considered the new quarterback whisperer, and that's the reputation he takes with him to Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I mean, and just basically being able to scheme up offense, whether it leads to winning games because the defense is not doing their part or whatever. He's been able to score points no matter what, no matter where he's been, no matter who he's played against. Even against, I don't even know what the score was of that playoff game against Alabama, the Kyler Murray game, but I mean, they were still fairly effective on offense, I felt like, and they're going to be loaded too. I mean, Travis Dye from Oregon comes over there, really good running back, and then obviously Jordan Addison, and they brought Mario Williams with them as well. So the receiving core is going to be loaded. I mean, I do assume that they'll be able to score points, and the Pac-12 defenses aren't going to be incredible. The 10 wins though is just where there's got to be a slip up somewhere. It's just what Southern Cal does, and until they prove otherwise, I don't believe that they will do it. And same with, I mean, it's the same thing with all sort of I think the three schools that are sort of in the same boat: Southern Cal, Miami, and Texas. All three of them have put great recruiting classes together. They've been in good positions. They've had good rosters, but just something, they're cursed or something, because they always just slip up and lose a game that they're not supposed to lose. And maybe it starts a little bit of a derailing process, and they just keep losing more games, and they've had disastrous seasons with really good teams. So I don't know. I guess I trust Lincoln Riley the most of those three coaches to not do that. But until I see otherwise, I just think those three programs are sort of cursed.
803-404-6100 if you want to be a part of the program. Coming up later this week, J.C. Sherbert will join us at 7 a.m. on Thursday to preview a little bit of South Carolina's fall camp, along with talk about the recruiting that was from the weekend. Yesterday, kind of a quiet day, Patrick, although I will admit I've followed recruiting for some period of time. I've been heavily involved in it with ESPN, with 24/7 Sports, thebigspur.com. This little deal with Cameron Upshaw, while I hesitate to call it strange, I'm not sure of what other adjective I use when a kid decommits yet stays pretty pro school, in this situation Carolina, on Twitter, and make sure everybody knows he got the offer from South Carolina yesterday for him to brag about. Whether he jumps back in the boat or not, Again, I think it was Cameron Upshaw telling, I think it was Phil Kornblut or somebody over the weekend, that he just didn't get to have a big announcement at a pep rally at his school, and he wants to do that. So that's why he decommitted with the intention of coming back and making the announcement here later on during the school year. To me, it's an odd situation, one I've never seen.
Yeah, because as far as I know, Shane Beamer and South Carolina do not have the no visits after committing policy. Maybe he thought that maybe he thought it was like Clemson, and if you commit, you can't take another visit. I do not know what the deal was. I was so confused by that on Twitter when I scrolled down and see, okay, he's decommitting, and then scroll up to the top of the page, and it's a tweet about, like, I'm blessed to get this offer from the University of South Carolina. I was like, wait, what's going on here? The Photoshop with him on and everything, like, it was a very weird situation. I don't get it. I mean, it's fine. Like, it's cool that he still has a good relationship, and it's fine that he wants to keep all of his options open. If he doesn't feel like being committed right now, it is what it is. But normally, yeah, when people decommit, there's a reason behind it, and it seems like it's still lovey-dovey with South Carolina, even though he's not committed. I think weird. I think you have to use the word weird. I think that's the only one that works.
That is kind of where things stand a little bit with recruiting. Again, yesterday was a little bit more quiet for the Gamecocks. We'll kind of continue to keep an eye on that. Some baseball news yesterday for Mark Kingston and the baseball staff. 3 players, Patrick, making their announcement that they will return to school. James Hicks, who was a 15th round selection of the Baltimore Orioles, was a guy that a lot of people thought would be a big part of the rotation this past year. Gets injured early in the season, is out for the year, doesn't get to do a whole lot. He's back to help that pitching staff, to join along with Will Sanders and whomever else they're going to get. Again, I think there's a lot to be decided there. Braylon Wimmer, who I think is also a guy who enrolled along with Sherrod Green and Brad Johnson back around the early 2000s. He was selected in the 18th round by the Phillies. He'll be back. He started all 55 games this year, hit .312, 13 doubles, 7 home runs, and 35 RBIs. That's actually a pretty big get to have him coming back, Patrick. And then the other one is Noah Hall is also back as well for South Carolina. Made 15 appearances, had 12 starts on the year, 76 and 2/3 innings, striking out 78 batters and a 4.34 ERA. So a little bit of good news there, Patrick, for Mark Kingston's baseball program yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can get guys back choosing to stay in school outside of the MLB draft, it's a good thing. I didn't know enough really about who was expected to be gone, but I usually take the word of the guys that cover baseball in this town. They usually do a really good job. So I don't know what the expectations will be. I don't know if this changes the expectations for next year's team in any way. I don't think it should, but having a couple starting pitchers back is always a good thing too.
803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program. You can also, as always, go to youtube.com, search for 1075 The Game. Join along as Craig, Casey, Ross, Hope, Josh, all up with us this morning. You can go and participate in the chat. Craig saying regarding recruiting, I feel good news coming from Big Tree, Babalady, whatever we're calling him, this week. He did put out a tweet yesterday, Patrick, asking for help creating, I guess, a commitment video. So if you want to go and be a part of that, we'll get into that. Josh bringing up Austin Riley, a Brave for the next forever. Yeah, Austin Riley getting a nice deal. We'll bring that up and also talk about Tiger Woods. I got to admit, Patrick, there is a price for everybody, and being able to completely change your family. I'm interested to hear your opinion on turning down $800 million, at least maybe $800 million or in that neighborhood to stick with the PGA Tour. We'll talk about that. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up
on the next Extra Point.
Hey guys, Pearson Fowler here from the Extra Point, and coming up on the Monday edition of the Extra Point, it is football season. This is now every week from here on out until the end of the year is going to have some kind of football. South Carolina practice Friday, Hall of
Yeah, Josh, your earlier comment about a realtor saying don't pay the HOA fees till you sell it. Oh, that's good. Have a lien put on your house and then clear it before you sell it. Yeah, not good.
Yeah, what did he say? He said that was the worst advice.
Yeah, I mean, you don't pay your HOA fees, they're most likely going to put a lien on your house. You can't sell your house until you don't have a lien on it. So I know a realtor in this particular studio who would never give that advice.
There you go.
Just saying.
I wonder about the LA. Austin though is different. The city of Austin. I mean, Patrick, you've been there, but I would still imagine Austin is different than Miami and LA, right? I mean, to an extent, one, because it's just you got professional sports in the town too. Good grief. Call the city?
Wow.
All your neighbors?
We're going to need a scoop on that one.
My goodness.
We're going because oh, nice. That's bad. We're dealing with something with my mom right now. There's a building that was for farm implement that we still have, that my dad had for all the farm equipment and stuff. And the people north of him have a tree that has grown and the branches are hitting the side of the building. Well, in Illinois, the law is, if even though it's on somebody else's property, the tree belongs to the neighbor. We have to cut the bushes or cut the limbs. It's really? We've got to pay to maintain his stuff. So what is the incentive for him to maintain his trees or anything on his property? Because if it ends up crossing over to mine and becoming a problem, I have to take care of it.
Sounds like you should cut the tree down.
Well, he actually told us, he said, well, you can trim it, you just can't kill it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Get a copper nail and hammer it into the base of that sucker. See ya.
I was going to say, that whatever the term is for doing it, I'd say, I'll cut it, but I can't tell you I'm a professional at trimming trees. I can't tell you what might happen.
Yeah. It will be cut. It won't be pretty. He doesn't care. He's a slumlord, I think. Old timey clip of the day. I don't know if you want to pop that in or not.
Yeah, why not? Let y'all listen.
From Rock Hill decided to take matters into his own hands.
Wolverines break the huddle after their controversial first down. High formation with Gardner at quarterback. Smith, the tailback. Pressure! Kennedy just dives in, hits the defender, the ball's on the ground. The Gamecocks have it! The Gamecocks have it! The Gamecocks take it over. Clowney just burst through, ripped the helmet off the tailback, and took it away. He took it away.
Final score, Carolina 33, Michigan 28. And that's our old-timey clip of the day, sponsored by Old Timey Meat Market, with 3 locations, Lexington, South Congaree, and St. Andrews Road in Irmo.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
The early game
With Bill Gunter, Patrick Perez, and Jim Jensen
on your home of the Gamecocks.
in 107.5
The Game.
Don't forget about the 107.5 The Game golf tournament, celebrating our 15-year anniversary. The golf tournament will take place August 26th. That's right, August 26th at Charwood Golf Club. You can go ahead and sign up today. Call Charwood 803-755-2000. Again, that's 803-755-2000 to register. You do want to go ahead and register. The tournament sold out last year. We'll have $100 per player, $400 per team. Breakfast will be provided, as well as lunch from Little Pigs. There'll be a closest to the pin challenge, long drive prizes, plus a hole-in-one cash prize, football tickets, plus station prizes to give away. It is our 107.5 The Game golf tournament, August 26th at Charwood Golf Club. Rock and Daniel Lucas, we love being a part of their event each and every year. Love them being a part of our event. We work together as a team, and this year should be a lot of fun as we celebrate our 15th year anniversary being on the radio. I'm sure you've heard some of the promos yesterday and then this morning. Should be a lot of fun. So go ahead and get signed up. 803-755-2000 is the phone number to call out to Charwood to register. $100 per player, $400 per team. It'll be a lot of fun. August 26th this year. We'll get you ready. That'll be week 0 of the college football season coming up. So we will do that. But make sure you go ahead and get registered for August 26th, our 107.5 The Game golf tournament. Patrick, I was reading this text. Richard weighed in on our text line, and I started thinking about games that I would want to see. Richard said, neighbor and I bought tickets to Ohio State and Notre Dame yesterday. Feels like I just bought tickets to the national championship for the price they're charging. The game better live up to the hype. That is, if you start picking out games that don't involve your team, South Carolina or Clemson, that's got to be up there, probably at the top, I'm guessing, of games that you would want to see. Alabama, Texas, maybe. I don't know. Something about that one doesn't still have the intrigue of Ohio State, Notre Dame. Georgia, Oregon, but that's in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Auburn, Penn State down on the plains. You got one that you can think of that tops the list?
I do think that Ohio State Notre Dame is number one because, one, the horseshoe, and then 2, just blue blood programs. But the same thing, I think the same thing with Alabama, Texas. There is potential that could be a blowout. So I do worry about that. Now, I think Alabama's going to destroy Texas. I don't think that's going to be a game for more than a couple drives, but the atmosphere at the beginning will be great. Notre Dame, Ohio State, I think they're more evenly matched, but I'm not sure that Notre Dame's ready for Ohio State at this point. Like, Ohio State is going to be a machine this year, and if they beat Notre Dame 49 to 28, I won't be the slightest bit surprised if it's not a close game. So as far as I hope it better live up to the hype, I'm sure the environment will be great. Notre Dame travels tremendously, and the horseshoe looks like a great time, and I would much rather see it in September than I would in the November or December when it's freezing. But I don't know that there's a non-conference game that I look at this list and think like that's going to be a great game, a great environment, and it's going to be close.
Auburn, Penn State could be close. Like, if you look at it in Auburn, and the only reason I say this, I'm not sold on Penn State. I'm not really sure what to make of Auburn. I think there's enough pieces there for the Tigers to be a solid football team. I think the bigger question is more about the coaching and the coaching staff than it is about the football team. Tank Bigsby, might be able to go in and run for close to 200 yards in that game and basically almost win it by himself. I don't know if it'll be Zach Calzada or TJ Finley. Your boy Sean Clifford is back. He's another guy who enrolled, I believe, in the early 2000s and is still hanging around the college game himself. But yeah, that one might be in terms of good games the best one. I'm with you. Ohio State's interesting. We talked last hour with Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports, and Patrick, because he's in the same place, because he's got a Heisman front runner in C.J. Stroud, you're right. I think there is more pressure on Ryan Day this year to win a national championship to cement his legacy because of how good his football team's going to be. And if he can't get the job done, there might be some people start to question whether he can win the big one.
Yeah, well, they undoubtedly need to get to the national championship this year, or it's a failure of a season. That's the way they've talked about it. I mean, he said it was a pretty powerful statement when he said, "Look, some teams might be happy with a 10-2 season and a Rose Bowl victory. That's not the case at Ohio State. We are not happy with that." So, their team is absolutely stacked. They've talked about it. They brought in Knowles, the defensive coordinator from Oklahoma State, to turn around the defense. So they're ready to rock. And that's the way they've talked about it. They said they're not messing around this offseason. It's all business, and they're here for basically the revenge tour. So I'm expecting nothing less, and anything less will absolutely be a failure this year. This team is way, way, way too good.
803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in there. Jim in Carolina Beach just checking. He's asking what station the South Carolina game will be on that opening, or the second weekend, Patrick. I don't know how we're supposed to label it. Week 1, week 0 is Saturday, August 27th. South Carolina that weekend, that'll be a nighttime kick, obviously 7:30. It'll be on the SEC Network Plus. I believe you have to be streaming that. That'll be the one game where the SEC does that weird thing where they stream one game a year for each team, so that you've got to sign up for ESPN Plus or SEC Network Plus. So that game will actually not be on, I guess, Patrick, you would say to cable television, like if you have Spectrum or DirecTV, I guess you have to be able to stream it. The the SEC Network game that night will be Utah State at Alabama. So yeah, that opening weekend, that night slate, Georgia State and South Carolina 7:30, Notre Dame at Ohio State will be at 7:30. After that, Boise State at Oregon State 10:30. There's your Pac-12 after dark. That opening, that week 1, Patrick, we talked about it. It's a good opening week. It's not a great one. You've got the Notre Dame Ohio State game. You've got Georgia, Oregon. Other than that, I get North Carolina at Appalachian State. I should think should be fun to watch on television, see if App State can pull the upset. But it doesn't have some of the typical like big, huge matchups. I know that you get Florida State, LSU on Sunday night, Clemson, Georgia Tech on Monday night, but it lacks maybe a few other massive showdowns on week 1.
On Saturday, but then also you get the Backyard Brawl on Thursday, which should be a lot of fun. That would be one of the games that I'd really like to go to. Penn State at Purdue to open the season up is a nice one on Thursday night. So we actually do get a couple decent Thursday night games before the full slate on Saturday. And as long as there's one good game in every time slot, then we're in business. And Ohio State, Notre Dame, is that big noon?
No, Ohio State, that's a 7. That'll go, that'll be 7:30.
Okay.
That'll be the ABC game there, same time as South Carolina and Georgia State.
That is a huge bummer.
2 TVs, buddy. 2 TVs. Start getting the 2 TVs set up. It's that time of the year where we start asking you what your college football watching setup is. We'll talk more about that. We get into that Tiger Woods news. That was just interesting news. We'll get Patrick's take on how much money is too much money or how much is not enough. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The year was 2007.
The Spurs were crowned NBA champs.
For the 3rd time in 5 years and the 4th time in their rich history, the San Antonio Spurs are NBA World Champions.
The Ducks won the Stanley Cup.
The Anaheim Ducks are the Stanley Cup champions.
And on November 12th, 2007, 107.5 The Game went on the air.
Let's go Steve Spurrier. 107.5. The Game is on.
You're listening to The Halftime Show with Jay Phillips, Michael Haney, and Deuce Staley on 107.5 The Game.
And now we're going to celebrate our 15th anniversary with you, because without you,
there is no us. Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner. Your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Still working that earlier accident at Juniper Springs Road at Pond Branch Road. And there is an accident Smyrna Road near Sessions Road. Again, that is Smyrna Road near Sessions Road out in the Elgin area that is causing delays. Mostly sunny, hot, and humid today. Stray afternoon shower or storm. That's actually the forecast for today and tomorrow. I'm 97 today, 95 tomorrow. Heat index both days about 103. But right now we're looking at temps of 76 at 107.5 The Game.
If you have an IRS problem, getting accurate legal advice could help get all this behind you right now. Hi, I'm local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. To get the best results for our clients, we stay on top of the law and the IRS rules and
You
regulations.
have to pick and choose on your
It's important
streaming
to us to get you
services.
back on track and in compliance legally without worry for your future. At the Ecton Law Firm, we've handled hundreds of cases for everyday hardworking people like
Yeah.
right here in the Carolinas. Don't face the IRS alone. Know your legal rights. Call me to set up your appointment. The first visit is completely free and confidential.
We are discussing the former Clemson quarterback that transferred to Missouri, Kelly Bryant. Yeah, that's who it was. No, he wasn't good enough to go pro. He I wasn't paying that close attention. I don't know.
I know, I think he was like 28 though, like 7.
Yeah, I wasn't. I just got it on. I've got this on in front of me so that I can keep an eye on some stuff. So. Did you get enough to eat? Okay. How's your cut feel? Okay. All right.
What is the deadline? Trade deadline for?
Patrick, is today the trade deadline for Major League Baseball?
4 p.m. I believe. Yep.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's 4 p.m. today. Yeah, I agree. Arkansas, Cincinnati, Patrick. We forgot about that one. We're off. That's not a. That'll at least be kind of an interesting one. That's a 3:30 game, I think. Yeah, ESPN, Cincinnati at Arkansas, 3:30. Yep, same time. You good? All right, start getting ready in about 30 minutes, all right? Yeah,
There's nothing like hearing the songs you love on local radio with no subscriptions and no monthly fees. But there's a new bill in Congress that could stop the music. It has this bill.
Ole Miss had 14 incoming transfers. They used the portal, didn't they?
2886 and ask Congress to support local radio stations. Help us keep you connected to the music, local news, weather, and traffic that you need each day. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Uneven sidewalks, pool decks, and patios, Canty can repair them for just a fraction of the cost of replacement. Call Canty Foundation Specialists today for your free estimate. Uneven concrete can be a dangerous tripping hazard leading to injury. Call the experts at Canty to permanently repair your sinking or cracked concrete. Call 753-1495 or visit Canty Confixing.
Jen, you want to do this now? You want to go ahead and do this?
If you'd like to, it's
Yeah.
fine.
All right. All right.
Just was giving you the details. You guys are up.
$8:03. 404-6100. Right now, we're giving you a chance to win a family 4-pack of tickets to the Columbia Fireflies. Is White Claw Wednesday, 16-ounce cans for just $5. Caller number 5 right now. Caller number 5 wins a family 4-pack of tickets to the Fireflies and the River Dogs tomorrow night. So that'll be Wednesday night. White Claw Wednesday, 16-ounce cans for $5. Again, a family 4-pack of tickets, 803-404-6100. How you can call. Caller number 5, 803-404-6100. Family 4-pack of tickets to the Fireflies and the River Dogs tomorrow night, 7:05 first pitch. White Claw Wednesday, 16-ounce cans for $5. Patrick, you ever had a White Claw?
Yeah. I think I had some last night. Yes.
You
They're
think
pretty good.
You had that many that you think you had some last night?
It would have just been a couple sips. We saw my girlfriend's brother's band last night, so yeah, we had a fun night.
Okay, a couple White Claws there. Well, that is all good. Yeah, I will admit I've gotten into a little bit of the High Noons. Have you seen these? The vodka. And I'm not a vodka drinker, but I guess maybe it's similar to a White Claw. But the High Noons seem like a good summery beach boat lake type drink that I got into. I drank a couple when we were in Atlanta, where there is neither a boat nor a beach nor a lake in downtown Atlanta, or at least not one that I'm aware of. And so with all that being said, that's where I started drinking. I've had a few this past weekend. I still think, unless I've been tricked, so far as we sit here at 7:38 on a Tuesday morning on August the 2nd, I've never had a White Claw. I think I've still been able to hold out on those.
I mean, not really. If you've had High Noon, you've had a White Claw. They're the same thing.
Yeah, well.
If you had a seltzer, you've had a seltzer.
What's the preferred flavor of White Claw there, buddy?
I like black cherry.
Okay, yeah, I will admit the High Noon black cherry was actually very good, very delicious. So yeah, I will get on board with you on that. I'm heading to Key West next week, and that will maybe be a preferred drink of choice while I get to hang out down there. 803-404-6100. How you can be a part of the program this morning, Patrick. $700 to $800 million. Look, I respect the integrity of Tiger Woods because he believes in the PGA Tour. He had that long speech before the Open Championship, before the British Open. I think it's all cool, and I appreciate Tiger Woods not going to the Live Golf Tour. I don't know if it necessarily changes my opinion of him in any way. I just kind of appreciate it more. But Patrick, $700 to $800 million. Now, before I turn it over to you to get your opinion, look, at some point I get it. There is an amount of money that you just simply cannot spend, that all you're doing is enhancing wealth for future generations of your family. And $700 to $800 million kind of fits that label right there, where not just are Charlie and Sam, his 2 kids, benefiting, but their kids and their kids' kids will benefit from Tiger's incredible wealth. Tiger's made a lot of money, but to turn down $700 or $800 million, does it change your opinion of Tiger Woods? Does it change your opinion? Is there anything, because that amount of money, especially coming off last week, where if I'd have won the lottery, if I'd have won the Mega Millions and taken the lump cash sum, which I forget was $600 million or whatever, then after taxes, I would have been into the $400 million range, I believe, or whatever it ended up being. I can't remember. I still would not have made $700 to $800 million. When I put it in that perspective, for me, $700 to $800 million is an obscene amount of money. And I think I actually kind of respect Tiger Woods more for turning that amount down.
Didn't we hear at first that he was offered $1 billion?
It was close. There was never an actual number. Greg Norman appeared on Tucker Carlson and basically he was the one that finally came out and said, all right, here's how much money we offered, $700 to $800 million. So this coming straight from Greg Norman, who obviously is the CEO of the Live Golf Tour. This was last night that he was on Tucker Carlson and saying that. So, but that amount of money is absolutely obscene money to be paid just to go to another golf tour.
Yeah, but I mean, if guys were losing their sponsorships, that was something that was built in. They had to think of that. Tiger would have lost so many millions of dollars just from that alone. I mean, obviously it would never matter because $700, $800 million is whatever, but it's not like it's one or the other. Like he's not making any money versus making all that. And then also he's only playing in a small handful of tournaments every year. I don't think he wanted to do the whole tour, and that's I think the live guys are having to pretty much play every live tournament. It's only 14 or something along those lines, but that's still like 10 more tournaments than Tiger's playing at this point. All he did this year was play the majors, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, Tiger's obviously, for whatever happens, Tiger, in my opinion, will never play more than 8 to 9 tournaments, and that includes the 4 majors. If you know, like Tiger, I hate to say this because Tiger, the one thing I was thinking about while watching the Open Championship, Tiger's still relatively young. Like it's kind of strange to see him broken down the way he is, but obviously back injuries, the car wreck, other things. He's only 46. He's only 46, which, you know, again, I'm not saying that's particularly young, but it's not really old either. But Patrick, I mean, yeah, his because of his body, playing in 10 tournaments a year, which is less than 1 a month, is something that I don't ever see him being able to do again.
Yeah, and I completely agree with Richard's take. This is not even about money now because Tiger has so much money that he wouldn't even know what to do with it. It's fully about legacy now. And all Tiger is worried about at this stage is legacy. And he does not want to have anything potentially hinder his ability to play in another major or hurt his legacy in any way other on the golf course. So he's not worried. He's not worried about an extra $700 million because he already can't count his money. He's got the super yacht. Like, I don't know what you would buy once you get that money that he doesn't already have. Maybe his own private jet, which he might already have. I don't know if he owns a private jet or not.
I would imagine he does. That amount of money, I would imagine he does. So Craig weighs in on our live streams. Says I respect him more. And that's kind of where I go with this. Like, that amount of money, the easiest thing in the world, even if he's given up on his legacy or whatever, is to take that money and run and change future generations of your family. Because that's what it does. It, like you just said, it doesn't change Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods financially is perfectly fine. His kids will be perfectly fine. You take that amount of money, you're setting up the rest of your family to be more than fine for the next 100, 150 years or something like that. Just absolutely ridiculous. 803-404-6100. We'll get into another guy who had some nice life-changing money yesterday. Austin Riley is a couple pennies richer this morning. We'll discuss that for a second when we return. Coming up at 8 a.m., Kyle Thompson. We'll get back into a little bit of PGA Tour, but we'll also get Kyle's take on the upcoming football season as we'll turn back toward football as well. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game.
Here's what's coming up on the next Game Time.
Hey, it's Heath. Coming up Tuesday at 3, we'll have all the latest on the baseball trade deadline. What moves did the Braves make? Anybody else make a big one happen? We will have all the latest. Plus, we check in on recruiting with Wes Mitchell at 5:30. And it's Tuesdays with Morgan at 3:30. We will see you at 3.
Game Time with Heath Klein.
3 to 6 p.m.
on your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5
The Game.
Morning, York. I hope everybody's doing good. All right. About another hour left for me, and then it's off to basketball camp. I'm watching this Nick Saban press conference, and I'm not sure if I was watching the championship or the spring game press conference. But now they're interviewing Will Anderson. Craig, that's only if you, from what I understand, that's only if you only have ESPN Plus. If you've got that Disney bundle where you got Disney, Hulu, and ESPN, I think it stays the same price. I think everything stays the same price there for you.
It's funny how the streaming stuff had all how those all the streaming prices have gone up so considerably. It's like, oh, this took off. Now we can really, and I mean, I know they keep adding programming and such, so I'm sure they're more expensive, but it's getting to a point where now you really almost have to decide: do I want cable service, or do I want a bunch of different, cable or satellite, or do I want a bunch of streaming services?
Well, yeah, you got. I mean, Netflix is going to what a advertising based one that's supposed to be cheaper because they're losing people left and right. Peacock had awful numbers last week or the week before. I do have Peacock because it's like $5.50.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got all of them, but I am hitting a point now where I might have to consider trimming some of them back.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of where I am.
Well, it's just I don't watch like. I mean, my kids watch. Netflix, and I guess I have Amazon because I have Amazon Prime. So I guess I'll keep that one.
Right.
Peacock. I think will have some stuff on in the Premier League that I'll probably watch. But I'm not sure about anything else.
Yeah, I don't know.
Patrick, you've got HBO. How much is HBO Max? $9.99 or $6.99?
I think it's more than that.
Yeah, see, that's the one I've never had was HBO Max.
That's awesome, though. I had everything, and I can't cancel them. Yeah, HBO is $15 a month.
Oh,
I don't pay for that, though.
Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find a way to coach today without raising my voice. Yeah, Craig, I've got Apple, Peacock. I see Peacock, Apple, Netflix. Now I do have YouTube TV, but that's my main TV source.
Okay. We're about to head back in.
So technically you're cord cutter, but not really, because you still pay for your
Yeah, correct. Yeah. There you go, Artia. That's the way. Yeah, you got to keep an eye out for those deals.
Yeah.
You keep an eye out. You can usually get a couple good ones.
Here.
803-404-6100. Now you can be a part of the program this morning. Jim in Goose Creek. What do you have against competition in golf? Golf isn't a sacred cow. It's a game. Folks have been leaving one job for another for more money forever. What's bad about that? Well, I didn't say I had a problem with it.
I'll say, who's that directed at?
Yeah, I don't know. None of us have said we got a problem with it. We don't care. I'll admit I'm not going to watch the Live Golf Tour because it's too hard to find. I don't. The Live Golf Tour, I'm not. If people want to leave, that's fine. Like I have zero problems with Dustin Johnson leaving. The only time I will now watch Dustin Johnson though is when he plays in a major, and hopefully he continues to be allowed to play in majors. Same with Phil Mickelson. I have zero problems with Phil Mickelson. What I was saying, kind of respect Tiger a little bit more for not taking a asinine amount of money. I would take it, Patrick. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or not. I mean, would you, even if you're a billionaire, if somebody said, here's $700 to $800 million to go play on a golf tour that really is irrelevant, you would do it, right?
I don't know. I mean, I would do it if it was me, but Tiger, if I had Tiger's legacy sort of on the line, which is sort of rocky to begin with, I do think there is a level to which he's 46. He's the greatest golfer of all time. He's going to have this legacy, and he doesn't want anything to potentially tarnish it. And at a certain point, when you've reached that level of money, and he knows that his kids will be set and his grandkids will be set, you do start thinking about how am I going to be remembered, and that is ultimately that's what lasts really forever. And when people are talking about him in 100 years, is anyone going to bring up that Tiger Woods left for this Saudi-owned golf tour and bailed for the money and this and that? Like I don't think he wants to contribute to the demise of the PGA. If somehow him leaving led to LIV becoming the premier golf tour, then all of Tiger Woods' achievements in the PGA are also meaningless as well. So, I mean, he's protecting his legacy and he's protecting the PGA Tour because the PGA Tour is where he built his legacy. So, no, I mean, with how much money he has, and I don't know exactly how much it is. I don't know if he's a billionaire, but that is what gets thrown around sometimes, is that Tiger's a billionaire. If that's the case, then yeah, I'm not worried about anything other than legacy at this point.
Just interesting, but no, I have no problem with anybody who wants to go over there. I mean, look, they're making a decision based strictly on the money and not on competitive golf, or really, as Patrick said, caring about their legacy or their stance in the future of the golf world. Like it's just, but I have absolutely zero problem with doing it. And if the LIV Golf Tour is able to get a television deal, maybe I will watch. I could maybe tune in, but obviously right now it's YouTube.com or the LIV Golf website, I think is how you watch. So it's those guys, and that's fine. They're perfectly set on their money. One guy who is also now very well set, and Patrick, I give the Braves credit here. They didn't allow another Freddie Freeman situation. The Braves appeared to learn their lesson from the Freddie Freeman situation. Don't let agents get too involved. The Braves lock up Austin Riley, 10 years, $212 million contract, the most lucrative deal in team history. And according to ESPN, a surprise given that he had 3 additional seasons under club control. But Austin Riley is now a very well-paid Atlanta Brave and should be for the next 10 years, as he will hang around. And at least by the time he gets around to being 35 years of age, I think they'll be okay with letting him walk.
Yeah, you said the biggest contract in team history, and that just reminds me that Ronald Acuna has the worst contract in professional sports, probably.
Possibly, yeah.
8 years, $100 million. If he was on the open market right now, he'd be getting 30 a year. Like that's crazy. Or up to 30. I don't know. But I guess that's why they have the money to throw this around. I don't know the first thing about Austin Riley. I know he hits home runs. I know he's a big dude, but I mean, is he really good? I guess that's cool. I'm so checked out of baseball this year, and I don't care about the Braves. Whatever. Good for them. They made a trade yesterday, too. I'm just worried about Juan Soto if he's going to get traded today.
That's your Washington Nationals fan, Patrick Perret, who's just had enough of Major League Baseball. And just, Juan Soto. You got to trade Juan Soto today by 4:00, right? Otherwise, he's walking, right?
No, I mean, he's under team control for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
You get the rest of this season, then 2 more seasons with the arbitration years. So the idea is that having that third postseason with Juan Soto, whoever acquires him, even if they can't get the long-term deal done, if he's dead set on getting to free agency, then this is the time to trade him because he's still got a ton of value just over the next 3 years, having one of the best hitters in baseball. So looks like it's going to be either the Padres or the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are more they're more worried about trading one of their better, like, current big leaguers in addition to the group of prospects that would be involved in this trade. So we'll see. It's going to take a huge package.
803-404-6100 coming up in the next segment. We'll catch up with Kyle Thompson. We'll talk a little bit more about the PGA Tour, the LIV Golf Tour, and then we'll also catch up with Kyle Thompson and talk about South Carolina opening fall camp this coming Friday. Tomorrow, Florida, Mississippi, Texas A&M, and Kentucky will get going in their respective fall camps. Tennessee has already opened. Vanderbilt, who plays a great week 0 game, Patrick. I say this now on August the 2nd when I'm just starving for football. But I'm kind of excited for that Vanderbilt-Hawaii game that'll take place on August 27th. Aren't you just the slight at 10:30 late at night, Vanderbilt and Hawaii live from Hawaii?
I'd be a lot more excited if I was going.
Yes, that actually would help tremendously, wouldn't it? If you had a trip to Hawaii, but you also tossed in a college football game. Yeah, week 0. So we will talk a little college football in our number 3. We got going early on with that. Brad Crawford joined us to talk about his rankings, the top 20 coaches. We'll get back into those. Your thoughts as well. It is the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Gamecocks, Braves, the NFL with live local radio. 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, a Cumulus media station.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919.
Oh. Okay. You don't want that today?
If you don't mean to see it tomorrow.
It's fine.
Have to show them.
It's all right. It's all okay.
What you guys been talking about?
Oh, pretty much football, a little bit of Tiger Woods, a little bit of Austin Road.
Yeah. And that was an massive contract you got yesterday.
Yep.
I'm gonna cancel my alarm and I'm just going to do my.
Yeah, make sure you good. You got 100 in there.
I think you're right, Travis.
There you go. Yeah. Gotta.
I think you were right. They fly me out, I'll put myself out.
The early game with Bill Gunter.
But we have a horse costume when we get in. I need somebody for the rear end. How about it, Bill? Come on over.
He's the rear end of the show every morning.
Patrick Perret.
There's a 0% chance that I will have the full wedding.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for your.
There's a
0% chance that will happen.
the future Mrs. Perret to put her foot down and
She can try. My feet are bigger.
And Jen Jensen.
William Byron referring to Joey Logano, Jen, as a moron and an idiot.
Yeah, standard.
Vocabulary straight out of the Jen Jensen playbook right there when not happy with how something ends.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Final hour of the Tuesday program. Bill Gunter, Patrick Perret, Jen Jensen. Patrick, I think I've done okay for 2 hours. I'm not sick anymore, but working a basketball camp for 6 to 12-year-olds yesterday morning, I might have overexerted myself. I've struggled a little bit, but I feel like I've made it through 2 hours, which during the first segment, I couldn't promise you I was going to be able to do. But here I am. I've made it, and I've got about 40 more minutes to go before you carry us home in the final segment.
Yeah, I mean, your voice sounds a lot better than it did at the beginning of the show. I don't know if it was just a combination of that and morning voice.
Yes, just a combination. Welcome to doing a 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. radio show each and every day. But yeah, the little virus I had last week, coupled with running a basketball camp yesterday, has almost caught up with me. Tomorrow, if you want an interesting opening to the program, tuning in bright and early could be kind of an entertaining experience to see how things go. We'll keep you updated.
Well,
on
maybe
that. If you want,
maybe doing something crazy like protecting your voice or a megaphone or something, knowing that your livelihood depends on your voice, maybe protect it a little. Just a thought.
Sounds like being a reasonable adult, Jen. And if we've established anything around here, besides the fact that you are a violent producer who tends to like to slap people in the back of the head, we also know that my adult responsibilities tend to go out the window on a day-to-day basis. So I think
there's really no newsflash here.
There you go. Well, joining us now to bring a bit of adult responsibility to the program, Kyle Thompson, the one and only former PGA Tour golfer and the all-time winningest golfer at the University of South Carolina. Kyle, you don't get to be the all-time winningest golfer without understanding your responsibilities to practice and maintaining your body. Is that correct, or are you just that good of a golfer?
That is correct, I would say. A big reason why I came to USC is they forced you to do all that. We had workouts 3 days a week at 6 a.m. running the stadium. I wish I still was in the shape that I was in college, put it that way.
What is you see guys, there's that picture, I guess, going around. Patrick, I think you've probably seen it from the British Open. John Daly smoking a heater, beard, blue shirt, loud pants. And then there's Tiger Woods, the epitome of professionalism. The white shirt, the black vest, looking all prim and proper. Kyle, what is the conditioning level for a professional golfer? Like, obviously it's changed over the years with how Tiger and Rory McIlroy and Brooks Koepka worked out, built big gun, did Bryson DeChambeau. Like, where is the fine line? Let's do that real quick. A professional tip for the average golfer who goes out. What is the fine line in being in decent shape to go out and stretch and not injure yourself in golf?
For the average golfer, I would tell you would get a lot more out of doing, some simple yoga moves than you would lifting weights. You want your muscles to be elastic. You're trying not to pull your back as you get out of the car and you swing as hard as you can at your first drive without hitting any balls. So it's better to have more flexibility and just stretch yourself before you go play. When you get to the pro level, John Daly is a totally different animal. That guy is a peak athlete, I would say. He's something else. To be quite honest, between us, everybody, just a few of us on this call listening, I can't believe the guy is still alive. I mean, he is good. He goes at it super, super hard, and but he is such a good, heck of a player. To the matter that, the fact that he's won as many majors as he has, and he's still competing and still playing pretty good golf at times. He has great short game, really good hands around the greens. But wow, he's something else. So,
who was all right? I'm intrigued by this because you saw the PGA Tour up close and personal. I'm not asking for names, but a lot of those guys, I guess, are married, have girlfriends, maybe small kids, families. Was there a handful, 15, 20, 3, 4, that they play their round and they treat it like a 4 guys going on a golf vacation where they then go hit the local bar or something? And were you aware of guys that would go out and do more than just a little partying and then show back up for their tee time smelling of bourbon or beer?
Oh yeah. I knew one friend of mine. It seems like every time he went out and stayed out too late and drank way too much, he seemed to play really good the next day, hungover. And so he had a stretch of about 6 months where he did it damn near every day. Terrible for your body, but he was playing well doing it. Look, the whole thing with golf is it's such a mental sport that when we all want to play well, everybody on tour really wants to play well. So it's really convincing yourself that the shot that you're hitting doesn't matter. And that's kind of where alcohol comes into play for some of these guys. And I've heard rumors that there's still some of the old school guys in the Champions Tour that'll still have a little beverage walking around with them. So that was sort of the way that golf was played, from the generation from the 80s. But these days, it's a lot of athletes. So it's a lot of guys that typically would have played baseball or possibly football, basketball, that are now playing golf. You look at the height advantage a lot of these guys have. I mean, Tony Finau just won 2 straight weeks. He's a tall, long-armed. He could play a number of sports. He's a real athlete, and I think that's a lot of that is due to Tiger. Tiger made the game cool. When Tiger came along, it was sort of a nerdy sport, and now you got guys like I said, Tony Finau, Dustin Johnson. There's a lot of guys. You look at Brooks Koepka, really strong guy. These guys really work hard in the gym, and it shows. So good for them.
Was Tiger the one that started that like physical side of it, like lifting weights and trying to get really strong? Because I mean that there are, like you mentioned, Koepka, they're like jacked golfers nowadays, and there's still guys like Zalatoris who looks like Gumby. I don't know, he's so lanky, but I guess just gets good torque or whatever it is about that frame. But was it Tiger that started sort of I know he did the Navy SEAL training and things like that too. Was he the forefront of that?
I would say for my generation, yes. But before my generation, it's got to be Gary Player. I mean, Gary was a guy that, and to this day, he still prides himself that he could do 1,000 sit-ups a day and all this kind of stuff. He was the first real workout guru of pro golf. But and then Tiger did it, and before Tiger came along, my coaches through high school and stuff said, hey, you never want to lift weights especially before you're playing and stuff. And so the whole mentality's changed so much that it's like anything. If the more you do it, the better you get at it. So if you're lifting all the time, it doesn't really affect your body as much as if you just did it here and there and get sore. So, but Tiger's definitely on the forefront of that.
He's Kyle Thompson joining us as he's done throughout the year to keep us updated on the PGA Tour. We haven't talked to you since the Open Championship, so let's just go back for a second and revisit that. And being a former PGA Tour player, being a guy who's played the game at the highest level, number one, just before I even ask it, I'm assuming you watched Sunday morning. Did you get a chance to watch Cameron Smith? Because I'm going to ask if you did, how much you can appreciate being in that scenario, being with that amount of pressure, being down several strokes to Rory McIlroy, and yet just going out and playing like it's just you in the course and shooting a 64.
Yeah, I did watch it actually, and Cam Smith played great golf. That up and down he made on 17 where he putted it sort of around the bunker, hit a great putt up to whatever it was, 10 to 12 feet, and made that for par. That was unbelievable. Every single putt he hit that day, I mean, they didn't even come close to the edge of the lip. Every one of them went dead ass in the middle of the cup. It was amazing. And then you look at Cameron Young, who I've touted many times on this program. He almost came back and won the thing. He lost by a shot. Eagled the last hole. He drove it on the green and made a 15-footer. So at some point he's going to win. He just had another second the other day. I think he's had, it's like 5 or 6 seconds now this year or something insane. So that guy is so good, and he's 2 years removed from college. Another strong guy who works out really hard. So the Open was a fun event to watch. Cam Davis is he's a real normal, down to earth dude. I've got a mutual friend that put up pictures of them drinking out of the cup recently at his house. It looked pretty awesome. So they're having a really big time.
Obviously, after that, there was a lot of buzz right after the tournament that Cam Smith was going to be leaving for the Live Tour. That obviously has not happened, but the figure that was thrown out yesterday on TV was $700 to $800 million for Tiger's offer. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. You have any overarching thoughts on Tiger turning down $800 million?
That's a lot of money. I can't imagine having as much money as Tiger already has. So maybe 700-800. Right. He doesn't want to, taint his incredible record, so to speak. So, a big win for the Live Golf Tour is to get Henrik Stenson on board, because Henrik, obviously was a captain of the Ryder Cup for Europe, and so getting him on board, he lost his Ryder Cup captaincy. He gave that away, and then he goes and wins his first event. which is ended yesterday, Sunday. So, I think that was a big coup for the Live Golf Tour. They also recently signed Charles Howell and Bubba Watson, although Bubba's hurt right now and he's going to start playing, I think, next season with them. They're just getting a lot of momentum, a lot of traction. They're not the youngest, best players, but who knows what's going to happen over time. And I'm really hoping that the PGA Tour and the Live Golf Tour can somehow find a way to coexist where guys could play a little bit of both. That would be the perfect world. So
let's go back for a second to the British Open, because it's one of the few times I've ever watched a golf tournament, and I know this has probably at least happened to you because they're friends of yours, but I genuinely felt awful for Rory McIlroy. Like, I watch a tournament like, all right, well, that guy lost. He's still got a lot of money. He's going to be perfectly fine. McIlroy seemed to, he played really good in the majors this year. I think that gets lost a little bit, in that he seemed to bounce back. He didn't win one, but for his reputation, it seemed like so much went into that. And now it'll be 9 years the next time we get back around to Augusta. What do you make of Rory McIlroy at this point in time in his career? Because we know he's good, but there's a fine line in winning more majors and it really advancing yourself into another bracket, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to knock a guy like McIlroy. He's had such an amazing career, and he's so talented. I'm not sure how old he is now. I'm guessing somewhere around 30. But
33. He's 34.
33. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Time flies. And it seems like yesterday he was a bushy-haired 17-year-old, walking down the fairways of the Open. But when putts really, really matter, it seems like at times he struggles. Like he two-putted his way around the course that Sunday of the Open and didn't make anything. And he had a lot of pretty good putts, but they just weren't going in. And then you look at, on the flip side, that's the difference between winning and finishing second, or actually maybe third. No, he tied for second. Yeah. But winning and finishing second is, is making putts, especially when it really, really matters. And everybody saw how Cam Smith rolled the ball. It was really impressive. So I'm hoping, if Rory can keep doing what he's doing with his ball striking and just get the putter just a tiny bit better, there's no telling what sort of season he could have in 2024, and maybe possibly finishing out the playoffs with a couple of wins.
He's Kyle Thompson. If you're going to, we'd like to keep you around. I want to switch the conversation, get into a little bit of football discussion with you. I know you are at heart a huge Gamecock fan, and so football season just around the corner. We've had plenty to discuss with SEC Media Day taking place and camp getting going. So if you're okay, we'd like to hold you through another segment and get some football discussion going with you.
Let's do it.
All right. He's Kyle Thompson. We'll be back in just a second. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game.
The year was 2007.
And the Florida Gators were national champs in both football and basketball.
The Gators celebrate as national champions.
Florida takes its place in history. Back to back and unforgettable.
And on November 12th, 2007, 107.5 The Game went on the air.
And Michael Haney is with us as well, who has been my producer on Primetime Sports with Mike Morgan for the last 3 years. Glad you're on the other side of the glass. This is the partition that will keep us from doing things.
Yeah, exactly. You can't throw paper at me now, so that's good.
And now we're going to celebrate our 15th anniversary with you, because without you, there is no us. Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by
Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner.
Your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
Taking a look at the traffic conditions out there this morning. Look like they're working an accident. Ivanhoe Drive at Bush River Road. And also Decker Boulevard at the O'Neill Court Extension. There's a report of a tie-up there. And it's going to be hot and humid, sunny today. Stray afternoon shower or storm, high of 97. And what the heck, we'll just say that's what we're going to roll with tomorrow, because that's pretty much what we're looking at. Heat index both days of 103 right now, though. It's up to 78 at 107.5 The Game.
This is JR with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Indeed. Attract, interview, and hire at Indeed.com/credit. Jerry Jones owns the most valuable sports franchise on earth. What does this mean? He's done a great job marketing and selling America's team despite the lack of championship success. Maybe they'd be worth more if he actually hired a competent GM. I'm JR.
CBS Sports Radio.
The biannual blowout is just a week away, and we've got a lot of work to do.
Keenan's Rug and Prime is rolling out a Labor Day bonanza.
We have that flatweed shipment coming in.
He needs 10 new sales associates as the crowds loom large.
Someone run a stock check on all the Moroccan 8x10.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed we do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates with resumes and Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first market job. Terms and conditions apply.
In the wee hours of the night, when everyone else is fast asleep, more than one third shift, burning midnight oil. When the part fails and everything comes to a grinding halt, regardless of what the clock on the wall says, you leap into action. Grainger is with you and all the ways to get it done. With 24/7 customer support by phone or click to chat. Call, Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sponsored by Midland Air Service Experts.
Water heater worries? There's an expert for that. Let your local experts at Midland Air Service Experts give you worry-free hot water as low as $28.99 plus tax a month. Call 866-EXPERTS. See website for license details.
If you're dealing with injuries or pain, count on the experts at Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine to get you moving again. Our highly specialized physicians offer comprehensive care for patients at 5 convenient locations throughout the Midlands. Whether you're an athlete looking to return to your sport after injury or someone who needs help for knee, hip, elbow, shoulder, or foot pain, we're here for you. Our expert team can get you better sooner. Visit lexmed.com/ortho to learn more.
Hi, my husband and I own a small business in Columbia, and we ended up needing some help with some tax problems that we had and needed to get resolved. We initially owed about $300,000, and John Ecton and his law firm ended up giving us an offer in compromise, which
Send my address to you now to make it to camp. All right. One thing I'll say is, as I get older, the gym floor at that Saxagatha facility is awful. My ankles and knees, and I'm getting old, but it hurts. Jen, I'm just going to go ahead and knock out Zero Res here when we come back.
Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. The early game.
With Bill Gunter, Patrick Perez, and Jen Jensen.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Start of school is almost here. That means having a clean home for your kids to come home to in the afternoon. Zero Res does it better than anybody I know. They keep my home beautiful looking, and with over 1,800 Google reviews, tell you what, Zero Res is the company that is most reviewed by people out there, and they get high remarks each and every time, all because of their patented ZR water technology. That's right. They have a 4.9 star rating. You can get in touch with them today, 803-262-4020, and book that next appointment with that patented ZR water technology. And right now, if you use my name, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119. That's right. Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119. So give them a call today, 803-262-4020, or you can schedule with ease online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Joining us now, Kyle Thompson, former PGA Tour golfer, former University of South Carolina golfer. And Kyle, obviously last year, 7-6, a big improvement for the Gamecocks. But what do you, well, let's go back. When you were in college, what do you remember about those teams, specifically the two teams that unfortunately Phil Petty, who just passed away, was a part of, but that was around your time at the University of South Carolina and seeing the improvement under Lou Holtz?
You know, my first few years was I came in right when we had just gone, 0-11 or 0-13, whatever it was. The first year we were terrible, and Lou came in, and I remember we beat New Mexico State, and we tore the goalpost down, and we couldn't believe we won the game. The very next week with Georgia at home, we tore the goalpost down again, and I remember we carried those suckers all the way down into 5 points area. We stopped somewhere and they were cutting these things up. And I think that's the last time the goalposts have ever been torn down. I believe they put up the flexible ones that come down now. But it was an exciting time to finally have some wins, and we had a lot of hope with a new coach. Lou Holtz was an incredible motivator. I thought he did a really great job of turning our program around, kind of putting us back on the map. And I think a lot of those same qualities that Lou has done to motivate the team that I was there with, I think Shane Beamer's doing the same thing. I follow the social media of what's going on at USC, and it just looks like such a fun place to be. And I think it's showing in our recruiting. But recently they did a slip and slide. I saw right out in the compound of the football fields. I think they did a hide and seek game where I think the offense is trying to find the defense, or maybe it's vice versa. But these sort of things were just look like the team is having a blast. And when you're having fun, you tend to perform at a higher level. And so it's no surprise that Beamer's done as well as he has on the recruiting trail.
For you, watching last year and seeing the different quarterbacks, 3 different starters in the regular season, throw in the 4th with the Kerryon Joyner in the bowl game, how big do you see it? How excited are you for the arrival of Spencer Rattler and having one guy that hopefully Marcus Satterfield and the offense can count on to be able to go out and orchestrate everything?
I'm pretty pumped about it. There's a lot of pressure after last year's season, especially before the bowl game, to find a new offensive coordinator. And the easy thing would have been for Coach to put it on Satterfield and go find somebody else. But I'm glad he stuck with him. What he showed, I think, at the bowl game was pretty impressive to really put Joyner in there and totally surprise the other team. And I'm excited about what Rattler brings to the team. I'm excited about our experienced offensive line. I'm excited about a lot of the weapons that Rattler has to throw to, especially both tight ends. So I think really the sky's the limit this year. There's a lot of what ifs, but if it all comes together like the pieces of a puzzle and the team gels and they truly get behind each other and they play for one another, there's no telling what they could do.
Kyle, we've talked about just the hype of Spencer Rattler and how many people are going to be excited to watch this debut. Is there one player that stands out in your time as a Gamecock fan that you were most excited to see debut?
That's a really good question. One player debut. I was really excited about Derek Watson. Remember Derek back in the day?
Yeah.
Running back. I thought he had so much talent. And obviously he had a solid career, but we didn't pick up the 5-star recruits like they're having now. If I had to go back, not quite to my time, but if you put Clowney in the mix, his high school tape was unbelievable. He was taking the heads off of high school kids left and right. And then they had videos of him running track, winning, the 4x4 relay race. And he was super, super fast. So I couldn't wait to watch him. I think that was probably the most excited that I was to watch a fresh new Gamecock start for us.
Now, are you a guy that gets Patrick and I cut up about this, and it is that time of the year where you start getting your man cave set, your Saturday watch? Are you a big television guy for football season, or now that you're like all of us, your kids, you got to work, are Saturdays reserved for being at the ball fields with the kids?
Well, Saturday mornings are at the ball field doing baseball, but I definitely have it locked and loaded whenever it comes game time. I'm going to try my best to make it down for a couple of games this year. There's going to be some exciting games played at Williams-Brice, but for the most part, I'm usually home and trying to do my fatherly part around the house, but there's nothing I like more than sitting down watching some Gamecock football.
That's what I was going to ask, because Bill goes to all the games. I am an advocate of sitting in the air conditioning with multiple screens and having free drinks. So is that what you normally try to do, Kyle? Just head out to a couple games just to say you did it, or do you prefer to be at the game?
I prefer to be in air conditioning with my finger on a remote. So if I see a play that I want to watch over and over again, I can just rewind it and watch it. Because even those that go to the game, most of them come home and they watch the game on television as well. So at least that's what I used to do for certain, specific plays that I wanted to see why the call was made that way, or, what really happened on the play or whatnot. But, personally, I like watching from TV. So, I mean, the high definition TVs these days are pretty impressive.
Yeah. Instant replay, calls, everything like that. Yeah.
You got to go to now. See, Patrick is kind of the chef of the program. He's the one that'll line up and have the huge. I do the food spread, but mine's a little bit not as planned out as Patrick. If you got does the Thompson household? Are you good with the grill and the wings? Are you good at the ordering of the food? What is the usual setup there for a game day?
Every day is different around the Thompson household. I've got a wife who could really care less about college football, to be really honest with you. So I'm usually on my own, and there's times when, when the weather cools down, I've got a big screen blow up, like a big screen that I'll put out in the yard, and we'll get a fire going and put the chairs around it, on a nice cool evening and watch. And so that's always a fun time, and I invite the neighbors over. But for the most part, it's always in flux as far as what we're going to be eating that day.
Patrick can kind of relate to you. The girlfriend there will follow him and will get involved in the game. But Patrick, she's also more the foodie though, right? She's the one that you got to have good food to keep her involved.
Yeah, I mean, like for the Super Bowl, that's what we built our day around. I was like, this day is about the Super Bowl, so we're just gonna use it to cook all day, and that's how she stays involved, because she likes to cook but does not care about football whatsoever.
I think your girlfriend and my wife they get along pretty well, Patrick. So
I think you're right. But at least, so do you just is it like, hey, I'm going in here to watch football, or do you try to get her involved and say like, come on, it's the Gamecocks, watch this game? She just
I do that often. I've got I'll definitely kind of plead a little bit here and there. Say, hey, why don't you come sit with me? Let's watch a game or two. She's like, unless it's perfect weather and I've got the perfect amount of food and the perfect drink in my hands, I'm not interested. She would actually like to come down and go to some games, and she said if we go, I've got to make sure I've got her in a box. I mean, what a snob, huh? So
it is air conditioning. I mean, if you go to a box one, I can see if you go to a box one time, it's hard to go back.
Yeah,
we will.
Exactly. We've done a few of those. So
before we let you go, you want to offer a season prediction, or do you need a few weeks to kind of do a little bit of studying and get ready?
Wow, I think I think we could get to 9-4 this year, maybe even 10-3 if the moon's aligned. There's a lot of expectations on this team, which scares me a little bit, because like everybody, I want them to do great, but I also want to be realistic. This is only the coach's second year there. There's still a lot of learning that these younger kids have to do, and there's a lot of transfers that have their own bit of learning to do. So. I think 9-4 is my optimistic year.
Kyle, we look forward to catching up with you in the next few weeks. Certainly want to keep you around. Golf starting to slow down. We do have the President's Cup coming up, but we certainly starting to slow down a little bit. But we want to keep you involved in some football discussion, and who knows, maybe we even get your wife on to get her a little involved. Get her and Patrick's girlfriend in. Get them involved, right, Patrick?
Yeah,
that'd be a heck of a call, actually. There's no telling what would come out of my wife's mouth when it relates to football. So
we'll look into that in the next few weeks. Kyle, have a great rest of the week, buddy. Appreciate you joining us this morning.
You got it, guys. Y'all take care.
Take care. Kyle Thompson, former PGA Tour golfer, former South Carolina golfer, all-time winningest golfer for the University of South Carolina. We'll come back. We'll start to wrap up the program, get into a little bit more of that discussion, the top 20 coaches that Brad Crawford put out. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game.
The year was 2007.
The Colts won the Super Bowl.
They're all here to see the Colts of Indianapolis wins Super Bowl 41.
The Red Sox captured the World Series.
Game over, series over, and the Red Sox are world champs again.
And on November 12th, 2007, 107.5 The Game went on the air.
Before we get going, I want to thank everybody involved with this. Brent Johnson, who has been magnificent. Our GM, Bill McElveen, who we could not ask for more of. Engineer Ed Noyes, who has worked his tail off to get all of this done. We are so excited to be a part of the Columbia sports community.
And now we're going to celebrate our 15th anniversary with you, because without you, there is no us. Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner. Your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
So we do have a report of an accident, Ivanhoe Drive at Bush River Road. That could still be slowing things down a little bit. Also, Decker Boulevard at O'Neill Court, right there at the O'Neill Court extension. We do have a tie-up there. Your forecast for today: sunny, hot, and humid. Stray afternoon shower or storm. High of 97, heat index of 103. And pretty much going to duplicate that tomorrow. 78 right now, 107.5 The Game.
It's the Love Chevrolet countdown to Gamecock football.
32 days till kickoff.
Others take full advantage of the market. We remain true to who we are. We never charge above MSRP or take advantage of you with add-ons. Love Chevy. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads.
Meet Boost, the fizzing amazing vitamin boost that turn your H2O into H2O, so you feel like
I like to boost it. My vitamins can boost it. I like to boost it. We like to boost it.
Because it's not just vitamins, it's Boost, the fizzing amazing vitamin boost.
Find Boost, the vitamin boosts, at CVS or CVS.com and give yourself a boost with Boost.
Staples has everything for school at great prices. So this year you won't go back to school. You'll be ready to move forward and master 5th grade math.
I can't do this. It's impossible.
Not you, Dad, your daughter. Staples will help her move forward.
Right.
Right now, Staples one-subject notebooks are just 35 cents each. Plus, select backpacks are 50% off. Everything on your list at amazing prices. Staples, we're not going back. We're going forward to school. In-store only. Backpack offer ends 8/6. Notebook offer ends 8/27. Limit 30.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Terry Ford, 107.5 The Game with our good friend Adam Vance from Sound and Images. His wardrobe is so fancy, he has his initials on his cufflinks.
That is true. And Terry, every time I come in here to be on radio, I dress my best for you and for the listening audience.
It's very important to look good for the radio audience, Adam Vance.
Yes, that's
very
what
important.
I found.
You do more at Sound and Images than just set up fancy sound and imaging for events. You guys also do a lot of stuff for businesses.
We are a commercial audiovisual installation company. And what does that mean? That means that we can come into your place of business. We can help you assess what you have, what you need, where you want to go. We're really big on video conferencing systems. BYOD, as they say, bring your own device, connect wirelessly, connect with ease without requiring a teenager, as we always joke about us Generation Xers.
And how does someone get a hold of Adam Vance at Sound and Images?
Please go to soundandimages.net or call 803-791-3925.
What we're talking about on 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
And what we are talking about, as we were just joined by our good friend Kyle Thompson, 2 segments there. If you actually want to go back and listen to that, you can do that. Check out the live stream. Just head to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and you should be able to rewind that and watch that interview over again. We'll also have it on the podcast page here soon for you, 1075thegame.com. 803-404-6100. That is the number if you would like to join us for the last 20 or so minutes. You can call us on the Love Chevrolet phone lines, text us on the Cool Care Heating and Air text lines. And we were joined by Kyle Thompson, talking a little golf, recapping the Open Championship from a couple weeks ago and talking about how the Live Tour has sort of evolved here in the last couple of weeks. Not as crazy as we may have predicted before the British Open, but the number coming out, $700 to $800 million is what Tiger Woods turned down from the Live Tour. Not surprising. I guess it's maybe surprising to anyone that anyone in the world would turn down $700 to $800 million, but with Tiger Woods, it's just a different ballgame. I don't know how much money he's got in his bank account. I don't know what his net worth is, but it's in the realm of $1 billion. So for someone like that, it's just more about legacy than anything else at this point. He's built himself up on the PGA Tour. He wants those records to stand forever, and if the Live Tour becomes the tour of record for professional golf, then everything that Tiger spent all the weeks at number one, and I did see a stat yesterday that Scotty Scheffler has now spent, I think, 18 weeks at number one and would need another 12 years. I think it would take him 12 consecutive years at number one to match what Tiger did. So all those records are going to need to stand in the PGA for his legacy to last. And yeah, it's an obscene amount of money, but at a certain point, it just does not matter. Bill, you back?
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to get ready for camp here as I will head off to we got to get the water bottles ready. You remember that? What was you got a camp experience you remember the most growing up? Just not just like the little kids camps that you might have gone to early on in life?
Yeah, well, British Soccer Camp was always the best one. I always did, I think, one soccer camp and one basketball camp growing up. I always did the high school's basketball camp where the high schoolers would run the camp. And then, yeah, British Soccer Camp where the 18 to 25-year-old British people would come across and live with host families week to week, traveling around America, coaching soccer camp. That was always a blast.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, it's certainly we'll get out there. I'll get out there this morning with the campers at Saxe Gotham. Maybe I'll even get out there and play a little bit. I just held back yesterday. Didn't want to showcase too much. Patrick and Jen didn't want to 6 to 12-year-olds. Wanted to keep that talent kind of hidden a little bit yesterday, not scare the campers too much.
So basically, Patrick, what we're saying is likely it'll be you and I tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or he'll be whining because I pulled a hamstring. Oh my gosh, my calves are. I can only crawl.
That's what I'm hearing too.
I'm the one that's got to get them stretched out. I got to get there and got to get them ready. Got to get them ready to go.
No, they got to get you ready to do that.
It's true. It's true. Well, I'm more worried about my voice today than I am about the physical hamstrings or the Achilles or anything like that. Although
the live
you
stream.
are right. I'm one cut away from going down completely. So hopefully that won't happen.
What's the best basketball camp game that you guys do? Do you do like a full camp or knockout? Because the 50-person knockout game is always great.
Well, no, because we got like 6-year-olds that can't shoot on the big goal, and then you got 12. So yeah, it's hard to do. Like you can't do the full one. We got a little bit of sharks and minnows. You ever play some sharks and minnows or some dribble free?
You just have to dribble it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, sharks and minnows, you got to dribble across the court, and you got sharks in the middle. And
somebody's stealing the basketballs.
Yeah. Yeah, we do that. We did have the age group knockout game yesterday. Worked specifically on teaching a few kids to play knockout so that we can play that throughout the week. But it'll be more drills. I don't know. I'm probably the worst camp coach ever because I like doing the drills. I like getting into the nitty gritty of the drills where most of the kids just want to be able to actually scrimmage and have fun. And I'm like, all right, we're working on proper footwork here. When you catch, you pivot, and you drive into the lane. I was working on step backs yesterday, step back jumpers.
Yeah.
And was really focused on the footwork.
Ours was always, it was like a 9 to 2 or something like that. It was probably a 5 or 6 hour camp. And the first session was always drills. Then we do our 3-on-3 tournament and then lunch and then our 5-on-5 tournaments. And it was traumatizing at a young age because we had to do shirts versus skins, and I hated it.
Yeah.
As a chubby kid, I didn't want to be the one with my shirt off, and I also did not want to be guarding someone who had their shirt off. And like, you know that scene from Along Came Polly where they're playing basketball? That's how it felt. Like I did not want to have a shirtless, sweaty guy like backing up on me, and I'm like, your arms like glazing down his hand, his bag. It was so gross. I hated it. That is like my lasting memory from basketball camp as a kid, is having to do the shirts versus skins games and just despising it.
I truly never understood why they had guys do that. You know, like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're perfectly capable of keeping. Yeah, we're perfectly capable of keeping track of the 4 other people on our team.
Yeah,
you say that. I beg to differ. I'll watch it happen. We don't do shirts for skins. We do have the different colored pennies to which.
Yeah, see, that's better.
Which my son got lost in a penny yesterday. He's playing like one-handed because he can't figure out where the neck hole is, where the other arm hole is, and he basically had to stop the game, go over and help him like get untied.
So he's your son. Okay, we established that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'll admit I never really. Now, granted, at Lexington, we'd go outside. You go outside and you play. Shirts and skins never really bothered me, but I was more on what Patrick just said about, you know, if you had somebody that you were having to guard and they sweat a lot, and that was annoying. But shirts and skins was never an awful thing. But then again, that was at a much younger age. We don't do that. No shirts and skins. I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to do that at camps anymore, though. Pretty sure that's not allowed, so we won't do that. But I'll turn the final segment over to y'all. I will head to the gym, get the kids going here for Saxagatha Camp Day 2. Yes, to answer your question that I know both of you and several listeners are thinking, there's like 4 or 5 kids taller than me. They may just take my role and make me a camper.
6 to 12, is that what you said?
6 to 12, yeah. The 12-year-olds tall.
That age 11 growth spurt.
Yeah,
they must have hit it. We got to go to big kids.
Bill's still waiting for his. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. 40 years and waiting. 40 years and counting, Jim. 40 years and counting. I'll be back for more of your jokey jokes tomorrow. It is the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The next Extra Point.
Hey guys, Pearson Fowler here from the Extra Point, and coming up on the Monday edition of the Extra Point, it is football season. This is now every week from here on out.
All right, I will see y'all tomorrow. Patrick, Jen, everybody, y'all take care. Later.
Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Wes Mitchell will be with me for the entire 11 o'clock hour, talking football, recruiting, a whole lot more, all coming up on the Extra Point.
The Extra Point.
With Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central.
9 a.m. to noon.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
And one last look at the traffic conditions out there this morning. Decker Boulevard at O'Neill Court. They are still working that earlier accident. And aside from that, it doesn't look like too much else is going on. Ivanhoe Drive at Bush River Road could still be in the cleanup stages. Looking for a high today of 97. Hot and humid. Going to be that way tomorrow as well. Both days could see some chances for some pop-up afternoon showers or storms. Right now, though, 78 at 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Indeed.com. Dog days of summer got your business needing help? Check out Indeed, an all-in-one hiring solution that makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
It's the Love Chevrolet countdown to Gamecock football.
32 days till kickoff.
Others take full advantage of the market. We remain true to who we are. We never charge above MSRP or take advantage of you with add-ons. Love Chevy. I-26 at Harbison. That's lovechevy.com.
Find new roads.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you go to work, I go to work, getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
Hey, it's Terry Ford from 107.5 The Game, hanging out with our buddy Adam Vance from Sound and Images. Adam, everybody knows about the events that you folks do over at SNI, but there's a lot more to Sound and Images. Please explain.
Terry, yes. Thank you for asking. It's almost like we scripted this.
Never. We would never script any of this, Adam.
No, fingers crossed. Pinky lock, whatever. But we have really upped our commercial AV installation division. So Sound and Images is very big on installing all types of commercial AV equipment, from your video conferencing systems to PA systems and stadiums to gymnasiums to you name it, any kind of commercial audiovisual application that you can think of. We are pretty much involved with digital signage at restaurants, at places of business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Thanks a lot, Adam. Hey, if you want to hit up Adam Vance over at Sound and Images, just call 803-791-3925 or go to soundandimages.net.
If you work with one of South Carolina's 5,700 manufacturing companies, you're part of something really cool. Hey, this thing is cool. Even this HR guy is cool. But he needs help updating his employee training programs. We can help you with that. At SCMEP, we know the manufacturing is complex, and that if one part gets out of step, everything stops. Definitely not cool. We have the resources to help your operations thrive. Now that's cool. Visit scmep.org. Sponsored by SCMEP.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
The early game
With Bill Gunter, Patrick Barrett, and Jen Jensen.
on your home of the Gamecocks.
The Early Game, 1075.
The game.
And wrapping up the Tuesday edition of the Early Game, final segment here. Patrick Perrette and Jen Jensen with you. Bill Gunter is off to camp. Don't know if this is was it a 4-day camp, a 5-day camp? I think it's a week-long camp. So we will probably be carrying you through the last segment of the show all week.
Is it just kind of funny that we say Bill is off to camp?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just kind of, I'm just picturing him like with a little lunchbox and a little, little duffel bag or something like that.
His little metal lunchbox.
Yeah.
With a sandwich in there.
Mhm.
With a bologna and cheese sandwich.
Little thermos. Yeah.
Yep.
Powder
That's
Puff
perfect.
Girls. Powerpuff, whatever you call them.
So Bill is off to camp. He will be back with us in the morning. Hopefully his voice holds up. We have had two great guests today, two of our favorite recurring guests, Brad Crawford at 6:45, and I'll get back into that discussion just a second. And then, of course, Kyle Thompson stuck with us for two segments. One golf segment, talked a lot of sort of the changes in golf and his first-person perspective of how guys sort of changed the way they prepare and train for the sport of golf in the weight room and things like that, whereas maybe that was not the case too long ago. Some monsters now, the Bryson DeChambeaus, the Brooks Koepkas of the world, guys that are just absolutely jacked, and I think that's kind of a sort of a new phenomenon. So a really interesting perspective from him there, and then of course got into a little bit of a Gamecock conversation in the second segment. Brad Crawford put out his top 20 coaches in college football list. I think he said he does this every year in August for 24/7 Sports, the top 20 coaches in college football. And it's a hard thing to do. I mean, the gap between some of these guys is so small, and there's so many different things that go into each program. Like, you can't grade everyone on the same scale. So it's a really hard list to put together. And outside of number one, it's kind of hard. Nick Saban obviously is number one. I guess I'll pose the question to you, 803-404-6100, just a couple minutes left in the program, but if you want to chime in, is Kirby Smart, I mean, maybe South Carolina fans will just say yes, but is Kirby Smart now easily number two? Like, is that sort of the agreed upon take? Is that Kirby Smart is now the second best coach in college football? Because a couple years ago, it was obviously Saban 1, Dabo 2. They were the best two coaches in college football. They were the best two programs in college football. They kept playing each other year after year for the national titles, and it was pretty much agreed upon that it was Saban 1, Dabo 2. But has Kirby Smart clearly taken over that mantle? I'm actually a little bit curious to know people's opinions on that. I don't disagree necessarily with Brad putting Kirby number 2 because he's recruited like crazy, and he just won a national championship, and they look like they're poised to compete for championships for the next several years. But yeah, is Kirby clearly the second best coach in the country? Brad Crawford has it number 2, Dabo Swinney at number 3. I think the top 3 is kind of hard to argue. I mean, you can nitpick, but I would find it hard to believe that anyone truly believes that there's a different top 3. Number 4 is where Bill sort of had a little bit of a disagreement, because number 4 is Lincoln Riley. And Lincoln Riley obviously was the talk of college football this offseason, started that whole domino effect of him leaving for Southern Cal. If he doesn't do that, is Brian Kelly at LSU as well. There's so many. It was just a crazy, crazy offseason, and certainly Lincoln has generated a lot of buzz at Southern Cal. There's no doubt about that. Will they live up to expectations? And what are expectations? I think that when you look at that program right now, their defense is not going to be very good. They've had some transfers, but they're not going to be very good on the line of scrimmage either. So that's a very difficult recipe to win. But does Lincoln belong on that list is a totally different question. And I kind of believe he does. There is a Jimbo Fisher in between he and Ryan Day, Lincoln and Ryan Day. So it's Lincoln 4, Jimbo 5, Ryan Day 6. Then you get to Brian Kelly and Luke Fickell. And I would say that's kind of where the elite tier sort of ends. I mean, Kyle Whittingham's a really good football coach. Utah has been really consistent, but if Kyle Whittingham was the coach of Southern Cal, would we talk about them the same way? I don't know. I don't think so. But there's just a different type of buzz that these top 7 or 8 coaches can generate, and I'm curious how the Lincoln and Ryan Day story will sort of evolve, because they both were in the same boat in that they inherited absolute monsters of programs. They were machines. They were firing all cylinders. The players were there. Everything was set up for them to just easily take over. Bob Stoops had it set up perfectly for Lincoln to take over. Stoops retired at a younger age than he needed to. He just wanted to go sit on a boat and drink tequila. Urban Meyer obviously had that thing rolling at Ohio State. It was there for Ryan Day to just take over and keep it rolling. And they've both, Lincoln and Ryan Day have both been to college football playoffs. Ryan Day has played for a national title. Lincoln has not. He is, I think, 0-3, if not 0-4 in college football playoff games. The closest he's gotten is that overtime game against Georgia in the Rose Bowl. But who's going to separate themselves? I mean, there's only 5 coaches in college football that have won national championships. They're all on this list: Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney, Jimbo Fisher, Mack Brown. Ryan Day certainly seems like he's going to be next at number 6, and it could be this year. I think Alabama's the betting favorite, as they should be. Bryce Young, Will Anderson, best 2 players in the country, arguably. And we just get a text, still Dabo at number 2, and I can see that. But Ohio State should be playing for the national title this year. But outside of that, who is next? Who is next to win a title? Is it Lincoln at Southern Cal? Like, do we believe if he's the 4th best coach in college football, then he should be able to build that thing into a national title contender very soon. If Brian Kelly can build LSU into a national title contender before Lincoln Riley, and I do believe that after Ryan Day, Brian Kelly will be the next one to win a title. I think LSU will win one before Jimbo Fisher. I think LSU and Texas A&M, and I think they'll win one before Southern Cal and Lincoln Riley. So in that case, does Brian Kelly deserve to be higher on this list? It's just a really interesting sort of thought experiment when you start writing down the names, and at the bottom end of this list, you see names like James Franklin, Lane Kiffin, Mack Brown, and I do wonder how much just sort of the name value means in college football. As a recruiter, it is important. I mean, Lane Kiffin just brings some buzz with him, but to have him at 17, Mark Stoops at 13, they're doing it a very different way. Mark Stoops is running a professional program there. Like, they have built that thing into a great program with a strong foundation, and they're just reloading year after year and just work. It's very workmanlike. Whereas Lane Kiffin's sort of building that thing with buzz and transfers, and it's just a totally different way. So when you start comparing and contrasting these coaches, it is really interesting. 11 and 12 on the list, Mike Gundy and Dave Aranda. Mike Gundy's had Oklahoma State as one of the better programs in college football for a decade. Dave Aranda has come into Baylor, and they've won the Big 12, and they're favored to win the Big 12 again. So just a lot of interesting names on this list, a lot of interesting storylines attached to all these names. And it was a fun little thing to do. Brad's interview will be on the podcast page. You can listen to that. And Kyle Thompson's, looks like Jen just posted the Kyle Thompson interview, so you can go check that out on the podcast page. Trade deadline today for baseball. We've not really talked about it, but we're not a baseball show. But will Juan Soto be traded? Looks like Shohei Ohtani will not be traded. The Angels are going to hang on to him. So the big domino that we're watching out for today, will Juan Soto be traded? The rumors are Padres or Cardinals. Both have great prospects, apparently, and it's going to take a haul because he's arguably the biggest name in the sport right now, and to trade him at age 23 would be monstrous. So watch out for that today. Pearson is next, and he will have you covered. We'll see you tomorrow. Everybody have a great day. It's the early game, 107.5 Game.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT-FM, Eastover, Columbia.
A Cumulus.
Awesome.
All right. We will see you all tomorrow.
Yeah, everybody have an awesome day.